The Arizona Cardinals are eliminated from playoff contention following a humiliating loss at Carolina. Was that the nail in the coffin for Kyler Murray as this team's franchise quarterback? PHNX Cardinals starts now. Hello and welcome in. It's the PHNX Cardinals post-game show brought to you by our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass. I'm Johnny Venerable, the playmaker, former Arizona Cardinal wide receiver Brittan Golden. We've got Damon behind the mic, Brack from Bank of America Stadium joining us in just a little bit. The Arizona Cardinals humiliated in Carolina today, suffering a season-ending loss. 36-30 at Carolina, officially eliminated from playoff contention. 1-4 post-bye after starting the season 6-4 with so much promise. Was that it for Kyler Murray? What's Jonathan Gannon need to do moving forward? We're going to talk about everything. What's going on with Marvin Harrison Jr.? But first, what's going on with our friends at Bet365? Download the app today. Presenting sponsor on the postgame show. Download the app. Use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. Find out why, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with Bet365. We want to sit up here. We want to be positive. We want to talk about building blocks. Here's what I'm going to tell you off the top of the show. Everything that could go wrong for the Arizona Cardinals went wrong today, leading to a damning series of questions leading into this offseason. Yes, Brittan Golden, there are 2 games left. Now a nationally televised horror show, presumably against the LA Rams next Saturday. Maybe without both tackles, maybe without James Conner. But I think we're sitting here today, and you can complain about JG, you can complain about Marvin Harrison Jr. Right now, the ownership's going to be on Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, who is under contract. Kyler Murray, who had so much potential early in his career. Hell, earlier this season. Right now, you're looking at a quarterback that, for lack of a better term, was outplayed by Bryce Young, and to your point, can't get it done.
And it's you had so much hope going into the bye week. He was playing good football. He was delivering the football. This bye week showed up, and this has been abysmal.
Yep.
Offensively, starting with your quarterback, starting with your offensive line has been good at times, but has been bad since the break. All of this falls on K1.
Yeah.
It's just been bad quarterback play. We've tried to defend it for the last 5-6 weeks.
Yeah.
But it's just to the point where 90% of I can't even say 90. The majority of this blame's got to go on Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
The rest of this blame has to go on his playmakers.
Yeah.
Outside of Trey McBride and James Conner. James Conner did everything he needed to do today, even with him going out. Yes,
yeah.
that hurts you bad, but he did everything. You gave Trey McBride 2 targets in the first quarter. You didn't even look at him for the rest of the game. There wasn't anything designed for him. There was no looks at quarterback. Like, when you're struggling out there at quarterback, you have a safety valve. When one of them is gone, a.k.a. James Conner left, you've got to find Trey McBride. And you did a horrible job of that. Play calling, quarterbacking, it was disgusting. They should have lost this. They should have got beat 30-3 today.
Yeah.
It was horrible from top to bottom, but your receivers are not good.
No.
You're there. As much as we've even tried to defend these guys, your receivers are bad. They can't create separation. As much as we want to put blame on Kyler Murray here, he's dropped back in the pocket today, and he had time, and he looked around, and there was nobody there. Nobody's creating separation. Nobody's catching the ball. Marvin Harrison dropped 2 balls today in that last drive. In one, you can make the argument, they weren't great throwing balls. It doesn't matter. They both hit him in the hands. They
got to
both
bail
went
out your
to the
quarterback.
ground. He's been doing this all season long. Offensively, really, play caller down. You might as well just get rid of the whole crew because this is just ridiculous. Outside of Conner and McBride, but this was horrible. This has been bad offensive football for the last month and a half.
Yeah, it's been trending down, right? Unless you're playing the Jets and the Bears. This is a game where the Arizona Cardinals massive ramifications need to come from this game. Like, I don't think it's hyperbole to say, like, do you consider a new quarterback in the offseason or at least bring in competition? Do you consider a change at offensive coordinator this offseason? Do you consider signing a veteran receiver? I mean, it magnifies all of your issues. And again, like, the defense was bad today. And again, this is probably closer to the defense we thought we'd see for the most part this year. But here's what I'm going to tell everybody. When the game got reset in overtime and the defense needed to make a stop, they made a stop in overtime. And they got you the ball back, right? They forced a holding penalty. You got the ball. Granted, you were inside deep in your own territory. And your offense, with all the cachet and the $50 million quarterback and the 4th overall pick at receiver and Trey McBride, Michael Wilson, didn't get it done. The offense failed this team today, like it has for the most part all year. The Cardinals are not going to the playoffs today and have not won a division title since 2015 solely because the offense failed the Arizona Cardinals and their fan base. The passing game specifically failed, and that falls on the quarterback, the OC, and the weaponry. And I don't think Cardinal fans are going to poo-poo Jonathan Gannon and Monti Ossenfort if they want to take a sledgehammer to it all this offseason. Like, you cannot run this back. Like, Cardinal fans are not going to be bought into TikToks and YouTube shorts about, hey, look, we're working out in UCLA and it's all going to work out. It's like, we fast forward, man. We got spoon-fed a bunch of garbage for 10 weeks that we thought that this was who the Cardinals really were at 6-4. You were trending up. You had like a 70% chance to make the playoffs. This isn't just a collapse. This might be the most disappointing collapse because at least at the end of the day, we knew Cliff Kingsbury wasn't the guy. I have firm belief in Jonathan Gannon. Was he perfect today? No. But I think he and Monti Ossenfort have done more good than bad. Kyler Murray, you just got to keep the train on the tracks when Bryce Young is thoroughly outplaying you in this atmosphere. I mean, let's go back to it. Sanderson Ford drive of the game. You get a stop by your defense. You get the ball to start overtime. The only way you're picking up first downs is with running the ball with Michael Carter. You had to go for it on 4th and 2, and then you immediately wet the bed as an offense. You guys didn't look like you were on the same page. This passing game has been broken since the preseason. There is no explosives on this team. So, like, I'm done sitting here and trying to decipher Brittan Golden, like, what's the singular solution? Because I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think there is one solution. I think you got to take a wrecking ball to everything in this offense. Play calling, quarterback, weaponry. I think, like, we're talking about defense getting a makeover this offseason with personnel and draft picks. You're not trading for Myles Garrett or Micah Parsons or anybody right now. You need your picks because this offense is just not good enough. If James Conner leaves because of injury and your offense wets the bed because of it, that's an indictment of who you are.
No, agreed. Like you said, I think this is something that just has to go completely blown up in the offseason. I mean, you're paying Kyler Murray too much to get rid of him because you'll eat too much money. But I think to the point earlier, like, you got to find a veteran quarterback that you can bring in here that's played, that's done this, that can actually put some type of pressure in there that says, look, if you can't get this done the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season next year, you're done. All right, we're moving on. We're going to use whoever we brought in and go from there. It's just, I mean, offensively, you got to find to somebody's point earlier, bringing in a Devontae Adams guy for, a 1-year deal. Like, you got to get somebody as well in that receiver room that's got a little bit of fire in them, because nobody does. There's no want to. It's like they're just running routes to run routes out there. You saw a couple good routes from Marvin today, but like he caught him, yes, but he was wide open when he caught him. If he's in any type of a contested catch, that ball's going to the ground, and we've seen it all season long. It's just everything about this offense is mediocre at best, and that's a good day for this offense is mediocre. And I think this is one of those things where you've got to go get a veteran presence, quarterback-wise, a veteran presence, receiver-wise. You've got some on the offensive line, but this is just something offensively. Play calling has to take a step, because this was, the beginning of this game sucked, but then you got into a rhythm with the play call because your run game was working, and then you lose James Conner, and everything's destroyed. So it's just, from head to toe on this offense, this is something everything needs to be changed.
So it's a horror show of epic proportions, and we're going to talk about it. Drop a like on this video. Again, subscribe to PHNX Sports. We're going to hear from Brack at Bank of America Stadium. We're also going to hear from Jonathan Gannon and Kyler Murray. Like, what the hell happened? What happened in overtime? What happened with this offense that was supposed to be the strength of the team that continually lets the team down? Again, like, defensively, do you need to tackle Chuba Hubbard? Of course, but your defense gave you opportunities to win this game. Your offense turned the ball over. Your offense gave, the Carolina Panthers easy field position to convert a touchdown. So nobody wants to hear excuses about injuries. Everybody wants to hold the quarterback, the play caller, the receivers, and the coach accountable. And that's the NFL. Like, you can talk about rebuilds, you can talk about good vibes and, getting where you were from last year and a culmination to this year. When you start 6-4 and then go down the stretch, that's all people care about. And it's a bigger indictment right now that you've got, fair or not, a certain offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders. They're lighting the world on fire en route to a postseason berth in Cliff Kingsbury. The one common denominator that's left over is Kyler Murray. Yep. Kyler Murray, this is who he is now. We have enough of a sample size. After October, November, December, January, he collapses. His production collapses, his efficiency, his body. And that's not an indictment of him as a person. I'm not going to come up here and talk about video games or him as his character. I think Kyler Murray's a good guy. I think he's grown up and matured a lot. But this is the NFL. This is a results business. We need this team to get to the next level. The fans, the Bird Gang, everybody in the Valley deserves a winner. Kyler Murray has had too many opportunities now to put the nail in the coffin of postseason berths and division titles, and every time it's come back and they blow it. They blow it in spectacular fashion. But the question then becomes, like, who are you getting? What maneuvers can you make? What's even going to be presentable? I mean, now you're in the slums with the rest of the NFL looking for a quarterback potentially, and that's not a place Gannon and JG, who put their careers basically in the forefront with Kyler Murray, that's not a place they want to be living. So I'm sure they're going to say all the right things in the press conference. You guys say all the right things here in this post-game show. I mean, Brittan Golden, you look at the landscape of this season, where they were at 6-4 to collapsing at 1-4 and then subsequently being eliminated. What was the one common denominator for you?
It's all the offense is your catalyst.
Yeah.
And it's been like that ever since the bye. Like you said, when you got to that point of 6-4, you were trending up offensively. You had the Miami game was one of those, right? You saw the ball get thrown through the air. We had, playmakers are making plays, guys are scoring touchdowns, and then the bye week comes out and it's gone. The offensive line forgot what they were doing, right? Quarterback play was atrocious. Receiver play was even worse.
Yep.
I mean, it's just been you want to put so much, and I am going to, because he is the quarterback of this team. You're going to put blame on him. But when you have nobody out there to help you, it makes life really hard. Sitting, whether you're 5'9" or whether you're 6'9" at quarterback, it makes life really hard when you don't have anybody that can literally go out there and be a dog and find ways to get open and command the football. You don't have that. So, I mean, really, since the bye week, since you got to 6-4, the main reason you are in this position, the offense is just not good enough. They're not good enough to play right now in this league, period, and they basically proved it the last 5 weeks.
Our X-Factor player of the game, who was good enough and may very well have carried the Cardinals to a victory, James Conner. What else is new? New 2-year extension. He did exit with a knee injury. We don't know the severity. 111 yards rushing, 49 yards receiving, a touchdown. Was basically, a freight train from hell for the Arizona Cardinals, and when he left the game, the offense subsequently wet the bed, sputtered, and basically was ineffective. And that, again, that's an indictment. I love James Conner, but if you're running an offense in the year of our football Lord 2024, running through a running back, and you got a quarterback making $50 million, and you can't make plays, and I get it, you're missing a couple tackles. I mean, Calvin Beacham's the equivalent of a starter in this league. I thought Calvin was all right. Like, I don't know if the Cardinals lost this game because of their offensive line. I've seen bad offensive line games in this league for 20 years. That was the Cardinals' O-line was more than fine to get a dub today. I think, again, it goes back to, hey, we lost our identity. And respectfully to James Conner, the identity of this offense is a 28-year-old running back, when it should be your franchise quarterback, number one overall, number one on his jersey, making $50 million. I mean, I don't know if James Conner's done for the year. It certainly looked like Jonah Williams' injury is going to be significant. You wonder about Paris Johnson Jr.'s availability next week against the Rams. And by the way, that Rams game, which I know we were excited, of course we were, on national TV, it's like, what is that game going to look like now? I mean, for those who are piling on Kyler Murray, and we are being critical because it's the time to be critical, I mean, Kyler Murray blew it today for his team and then can go out against the LA Rams and put more dirt on the grave of his, Cardinal viability?
I I mean, honestly, all the hype, even, that was behind this game coming up with the Rams next week is completely gone. Like, it's you ask the NFL, can you, unflex them from primetime?
Take us off, please.
It's kind of important. It's not even worth it. But, I mean, if you put the same display of offense on the field next week that you did today, you get beat by 40 points. It's going to be basically the show of what you did to the Rams in week 2, right? Except it's going to be completely flipped. But
they will boat race.
I don't see the point. If James Conner is at a point where, he's hurt, but he could go, he does, at this point, why risk a significant injury to him when there's no chance for playoff berth, there's no chance for anything? Like, run with your, go with your backups at the running back. I mean, as much as you don't want to hear it, this is the time. If you're going to get Clayton Tune ramps, you might as well do it now. In the next 2 weeks, there's just no point. I mean, you can't. There's nothing you can do mathematically that gets you into the playoffs at this point. So why not? You might as well give guys the opportunity that you want to see develop. If they pee the bed, that's on them. You just got to go find new backups and stuff after that.
That's the most disheartening part about all of this is this was like you had a streamlined path to get to the playoffs. Kyler Murray, for all of the criticism he's taken, all the arrows that have been slung at K1, it was right in front of you, young man. And we sat here and you were being praised universally. Top 5 in QBR, contention and MVP, front runner for comeback player of the year. And you had a lineup of teams that were certainly beatable. And, I mean, out of 5 games, you lost 4 of them. And in those outings, I would strongly recommend, you haven't been good in any of them. You haven't been undeniable. I mean, you got outplayed by Bryce Young. You got outplayed by Geno Smith and Sam Darnold. And then last week, when we were sitting up here, didn't have a passing touchdown against the Patriots. This is who Kyler Murray is now. And I think that's the most disappointing thing. And you run it back next year, and they probably will at the start of the year, and he'll start fast and be able to drink the Kool-Aid a little bit, and then we'll fast forward to the end of the year. It's just they have to figure out an alternative. Even if it's a safety valve and they never pull it, and maybe that's what gets them to get over the threshold here, but it's the NFL, man. Not everything's going to go right. Everybody be sure, drop a like. We got over 1,100 people watching on the YouTube streets alone. Again, we're going to hear from Jonathan Gannon, from Kyler Murray and Bo Brack at Bank of America Stadium. What significant changes could and should be on the horizon for the Arizona Cardinals? That's coming up. Changes for the Cardinals. How about changes to the way you eat with our friends at HelloFresh? HelloFresh delivering next-level experiences for you and your loved ones. Again, it can be tough during the course of the holiday season to eat right? It could be tough to avoid the temptation maybe of some fast food. But listen, HelloFresh, they've got you covered. Farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. I've been a long advocate for HelloFresh. I've done their meal service for many, many years. It's one of my favorite things. I've got 2 kids, 9-year-old and a 5-year-old. My wife and I both work, and it puts us in a position to say, hey, we don't have to succumb to fast food, and we can still make food that tastes good, that's within our budget, and certainly within the time frame in which we need to cook it. It's a call to action, friends. We're going to hook you up with PHNX Cardinals right now. Get 10 free meals, HelloFresh.com. All you got to do is use the bonus code FREECardinals, F-R-E-E Cardinals, and that gets applied across 7 boxes, new subscribers only. And again, add to your plan. You can do protein shakes. You can do desserts, snacks, and more. That's 10 free HelloFresh meals. Check it out right now. America's #1 meal kit. And from America's #1 meal kit to America's #1 cell service. I'm going to tell you right now, Verizon has been my go-to cell service since I can remember. Since I had basically one of those old flip phones that had Snake on it. I'm going to tell you, Verizon is the place to be, and we're going to hook you up right now. Go to PHNX.com/Verizon for a chance to win 4 lower-level seats to the Suns game. Maybe they can get their act together on January 12th, along with prepaid parking. Again, if you're a Verizon customer, you get Verizon access, tickets to the best in sports, music, entertainment, more. Plus, you get their award-winning 5G network to power your day. Ready to get those free Suns tickets? Register right now. Go PHNX.com/Verizon. Check them out. Go to GoPHNX.com/Verizon. We're going to move from Verizon, and we're going to call upon producer Damon, Dawg. Let's start reading some of these super chats. People are raucous. People are angry. We're going to hear from you guys now.
We have a whopping 45 super chats already, Johnny.
Keep them coming.
We're going to be here all night. Richard Scott, $9.99 to start us off, says, I've been on the Kyler train from day one, and I'm officially off. If you're still throwing the ball up, playing 500, 6 years in, you're not the guy, and we're not going to regret taking Knicks at number 4, ?
Jesus. I think
How gross is that?
It is gross.
We were making fun of Bo Nix early in this season.
I think you got to, if you're Jonathan Gannon, I think you need a new OC. I think you need a quarterback competition, and you need a kick in the ass for Marvin Harrison Jr., which we're going to talk about. Let's keep it going, Damon.
Jonathan Castro, $1.99, says, both first-round picks underperformed this season.
Agreed. They both played. I mean, you didn't have Darius Robinson for a majority of this season, and I mean, he hasn't made a ridiculous impact in the defensive line since he's been back. And Marvin Harrison is just, he's been soft all season long. I mean, he doesn't go out for contested balls. If it's a 50-50 ball, that ball's either going on the ground, it's not getting caught. There's no, there's no determination in any route that he runs. He doesn't create separation. Your first round picks have definitely underperformed this season, and it's just one of those things, right? You gotta. Yeah, like you said, somebody's either got to light a fire under Marv and get him going, or it's just it's going to end up being a bust of a pick.
Next, we're going to skip the line a little bit and hit our guy, David Shepard here, who sent in a $49.99 super chat.
Thank you, David. Appreciate you, sir.
David says, as bad as Kyler was, he used to be considered one of the better deep throwers. BG, I remember him throwing multi-touchdown games on the regular during your time when over 70% of your passes are dink and dunks. Offense needs to change. Merry Christmas, guys.
But BG, do you feel like it's one of those things, and thank you, David, for that super generous super chat, is his arm shot? Like, is there a possibility Kyler Murray's arm is shot?
There's always the possibility of it. I wasn't here when Kyler was here first, but the way he's thrown the ball this year it hasn't looked like he's got the arm that we are accustomed to seeing, that we've seen in the past. Looks like something's wrong. Looks like something's not right. Also, his decision-making has been extremely poor the last 5 weeks of this that we've watched him play football. So, I mean, he's had flashes, in the past where he looked really good and he was excelled in the deep ball, throwing it downfield. But, I mean, at this point, it's just he's not what's helping you right now, and it's hurting you in the point. So, I mean, hopefully, we may hear something after the season about, maybe there's something wrong with the arm or something's going on. But at this point, you can't use it as an excuse, because as a coach, as a GM, and as a team, you let it go forward and you continued playing. So if you knew something was wrong and didn't address it and allow this to continue going, that's on you as an organization.
I'm going to tell you right now, too, like if you're Jonathan Gannon and Monti Ossenfort, you've rebuilt this roster. It's not perfect. You've made strides, certainly not a finished product. Like, do you have a finite window now with Kyler Murray and specifically Michael Bidwell, gentlemen, where you inherited Kyler Murray? How long do you run with this here before you say, like, I don't want to lose my job and I don't want my position to be in jeopardy because I stuck with K1 too long? And what is the alternative to get? I think that's a scary situation if you're JG, because you like what he's doing. For the most part, you feel good about the culture he's built. But let's say he sticks with Kyler Murray one more year, and they bring in, a podunk veteran to come in and compete, but it's not a serious option. Like, how imperative is it, and I know it's not a snap of the finger here, that you go out and you get somebody that you could conceivably say, like, hey, Kyler, we're going to roll with you in 2025, but we got a first or a second-round rookie coming in right after you. I mean, what point do the Cardinals use a first-round pick on a quarterback this year?
Well, honestly, I don't think there's going to be a quarterback, on the board that's really worth being your,
Okay.
By the time the Cardinals pick, I don't think there'll be a quarterback that you really, really want to see that you could bring in. But I do see an option. The Falcons are about to move on from Kirk Cousins, right? I'm not saying Kirk Cousins is your savior, because he's played horrible football the last few weeks here this season too.
I can't believe we're here.
But you got a Kirk Cousins going to be available. You got a Daniel Jones. Like, none of these guys are amazing that I'm saying. But,
right.
you've got to find somebody that you can bring in as a backup, that if Kyler Murray doesn't get it done in the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season next year, you say, thanks for playing, but we're going to rock this direction.
I think Kyler knows. But the problem with that is, like, you're already paying Kyler Murray $50 million next year. I just think if you're gonna lay your claim on somebody,
I mean, Sam Darnold's going to be available too.
But you can't.
The Vikings got 27 quarterbacks on the roster.
You can't afford any of those guys. I think it's got to be a young player. Damon, let's keep it going.
Let's hit our friend Iron here. He sent in 3 super chats, all very generous. Starting with the $10 one. Iron says, I'm 100% sure K1 has tendonitis in his elbow this season. That's why he can't throw deep. When he did, his passes were wild due to pain. He rubbed his elbow late third, which gave it away.
I mean, but here's the problem with that is, I want to believe that Kyler Murray's hurt from a production standpoint, but then that's also an indictment that Kyler Murray can't stay healthy for a full season, something we've talked about his whole career. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If Kyler Murray's not healthy, then good Lord, what is he doing? Or if he is healthy, then what is he doing? Then on the flip side, it's like, well, then you can't trust him. So, I mean, the only scenario, and that's why this season was so pivotal, it's like, you had to come out this year, even if you didn't make the playoffs, even if your defense was ass, like a lot of us assumed it would be, and it overachieved. Kyler Murray needed to come out guns a-blazing, empty the clip, undeniable, putting up 30-plus touchdowns, and just people are like, yeah, Cardinals, we feel great about it. And the opposite has happened. Your team was ready to win this year. Your defense, your special teams, you got to 6-4, and yes, skill players, not good. OC, not good. But Kyler Murray has missed these opportunities, and that's now you're in an even more difficult spot because what do you do with him, right? If he's injured, it's like, well, shit. Like I don't know what to make of this guy. Can he be a guy that can get me through 16, 17, 18 games? Because now history tells us, no, he cannot. No, he cannot.
Let's keep it going here with our guy Iron. Who on his next one, $20, says, Part 1, our running backs are better than the Chiefs. K1 has better completion percentage, better QB rating, and a better scrambler than Mahomes. Our tight end is better. Our defense has played stellar for our roster. Points for and points against are close to and equal with the Chiefs. And then goes into Part 2 and says, yet the Chiefs are 14-1. The Cardinals are 7-8. We have a coaching issue. They dink and dunk off K1's tendonitis without admitting it. 100% sure K1 has it, as I've had it 4 times in my last super chat this year. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, I mean,
that's $40 there from our friend Iron.
Thank you so much,
brother. I mean, I hear what he's saying, and he's right about a lot of it. But again, like if there's an issue with tendonitis in the elbow, and they knew about it, and it hasn't been addressed at this point of the season, like there is no excuse if our quarterback was hurt. Like if you play that excuse knowing he was hurt this entire time, that's an indictment on you. That's stupid. Yeah. Like that's bad luck. So I'm like, regardless of how this comes out, if it comes out and they say he was hurt, he has tendonitis in the elbow and whatever they want to say after that, and it comes out after the season's over, I'm like, you look like a clown as an organization. Yeah. More than a clown you already look like at this point as an organization. It's
a clown show. You know it's not a clown show? Dropping a like on this video. Let your voices be heard. Damon, let's keep it going.
Yeah, let's keep it going. Steve, $5, says, Kyler lost his only bowl game and has never delivered a must-win NFL game. Does this show want him to stay quarterback?
It's not up to what we want. I think it's just we're going to go off of fact. We've always gone off of facts here. Kyler Murray's had a 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio in his career. He's one of the best homegrown quarterbacks his franchise has ever had, and that has always been true. And I was ready to give him every opportunity, and he's been gifted every opportunity post-Cliff Kingsbury, right? They were patient with him last year. They set him up for success this year. They were 6-4. He was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Now we have a track record for 6 or 7 straight years of him collapsing. So it's not up I want the Cardinals to win and get into the playoffs. And right now, based on facts, revisionist history, information, Kyler Murray has proven to you more times than not that he is not the guy to do that. So the problem then becomes, though, is you can't just make a change to make a change, because then you become the Giants and the Raiders and some of these teams that can't support a below-average quarterback, right? That's going to be their argument this offseason. When we see Gannon and Ossenfort at the Combine and Super Bowl, whatever, and we chat with them and we ask them, what's the plan? They're going to be like, we still really like Kyler Murray. And I think they do. But, there are tiers to this, guys. And if the solution and an upgrade was available for opposed to Kyler Murray and it presented themselves, I have no doubt that they're going to strongly consider it. But, Brittan, that has to be available. We don't know that's going to be available.
No, and we don't. And like I said earlier, I think this is they love K1. They do.
They do. 100%.
They want him to be the quarterback.
Jonathan Gannon and K1 text all the time. They're incredibly close.
At this point, like I brought up twice already, you've got 3 to 5 weeks next season to prove that you're the guy to be here.
Yeah.
And you got to come out as a quarterback next year. In the first 3 to 5 weeks, you got to come out and throw for 260 yards plus. You got to throw for touchdowns, and you can't turn the football over. If you can do that in 5 weeks, you can maybe start to get people to jump back on the wagon. But if you come out and you play mediocre football and you can't win a game and you can't win a big game as a quarterback next season, I think it's over with. I think that's where it comes into play, where I think you got to find a veteran quarterback, somebody you can bring in that can run the offense and can get everything done. It can be like a starter type. Or, as much as I said, I don't think there's a quarterback. You either go for one in the draft. You trade up, try to get one of the better ones early in the draft and try to develop it. But he's got 3 to 5 weeks next year to prove it, or the Cardinals have just got to realize they got to eat money and it's got to be over with.
I think the play right now has to be load up on defense and free agency. And if you're sitting there, let's just say pick 16 in the first round and you really like a guy, you just take a guy and you say, we're going to reset the rookie clock. Kyler Murray, hold him off as long as you can. Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love style. But if this team goes backwards, like Jonathan Gannon and Monti Ossenfort have to be in a position, gentlemen, to say, hey, Michael Bidwell, this is our outline of the future. This is how we're going to have sustained success. And if the plan is Kyler Murray or bust, we're busting. It's a bust. We've never busted harder. No pun intended here. Let's keep it going, Damon Dawg.
Blaine Slaughter 999 says, looks like MHJ no combine and pro day was a red flag, and Kyler can't read zone defenses.
The play from if you're sitting out one, let's just be real. We talked about it and said, I don't think it's going to be a problem at all. During the draft process, during the combine process, he's polished, he's the guy. When you turn around and sit back and look at it, that was a major red flag. And we're in the boat we're sitting in now because the toughness isn't there, the want-to isn't there. We sat here and praised all the route running, pre-draft, combine, all this, preseason. We praised, he runs routes well, he catches the ball well. He did none of that well this season. Yes, he's a rookie. Yes, it's a different stage. Yes, he did none of it well. And we are 16 weeks into the season. Understandable the first 3 to 5 weeks, right? But you were drafted 4th overall, and you were a first-round pick that was supposed to come in here, be this wildly generational talented receiver that comes in and changes the game, and you were outplayed by pretty much every other rookie wide receiver that was drafted in the first, second, third round this season. Yeah. It's just one of those. You could make an argument. There's guys in the 4th and the 5th round that got drafted that are having better seasons than Marvin is right now. And yes, he's caught touchdown passes. Yes, he's caught passes, but there's nothing that's been he's the guy at all, right? Never. You watch a Malik Neighbors play. You watch Brian Thomas Jr. and Lad McConkey play. All these guys have come out and have changed games for their respective teams. And Marvin Harrison Jr. has not had a game where he changed the game at all.
That, to me, has to be the biggest focal point of these last 2 games is try to figure out if you can have any kind of momentum with Marv going into these offseason. Marv's not going anywhere, but they got to figure out a way to salvage this relationship. We've talked about it before. Devontae Adams was bad as a rookie. There are circumstances like this, but it's a very disturbing trend with Marvin Harrison Jr. Let's get to some counting cards here on a PHNX Cardinals post-game show. Again, everybody smash that the goal, over 1,000 on the post-game. We got 1,000 watching right now. Counting cards, relatively modest. Big ups to Chad Ryland, 3 for 3, including a 58-yarder. I think the Cardinals have found their field goal kicker of the future. Big clutch kicks, and for the most part has been rock solid this year. DJ Dallas, Kyler Murray's 4th passing touchdown post-bye. How many of those have been to receivers? Not a good trend. And again, this dink and dunk offense can't throw the ball downfield. DJ Dallas, kudos to him, but will he see an expanded role? Good Lord, next week against the Rams. And then lastly, Baron Browning had a kind of a layup sack, pushed Bryce Young out of bounds, but Cardinals pass rush not great today as it hasn't been all year. So a pretty depressing counting cards. Big thanks to our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos here. We got Bo Brack, we got JG, we got K1 right around the corner. It's PHNX Cardinals. The only thing that's going to make me feel better is a little holiday shopping spree with our friends at Sanderson Ford and their 65-acre facility. It's the largest Ford dealership in the nation. Cardinals need to take a Ford to their offense. Get rid of this and get a big Ford F-150 and run over the competition, baby. And they give back. Big thanks to all their efforts during Operation Santa. They've donated St. Mary's Food Bank. They give to autism research. They give to military assistance, Special Olympics Arizona. They just do a lot of good. So if you're thinking, oh, all car dealerships are the same, they're not. They're all not created equal, especially our friends at Sanderson Ford. They're family-owned and operated through 3 generations. Get the new 2024 F-150 with 3.9% APR financing, 66 months, plus up to $4,000 cash back, over 900 new and pre-owned vehicles. Big thanks to Sanderson Ford. Big thanks to everybody. Your Super Chats a week ago donated to Operation Santa Claus. Thanks to everybody donated their time coming out to Gila River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass today. Big thanks to Jason from Texas, who was here at 8:30 this morning. Too bad we couldn't get him a win. So many of our friends today. I can't even remember them all. Jessica, everybody, Ryan, thank you guys for coming out today. Our guy with his tattoo on his arm, what was his name? You remember him, David? We got with his kid, with his little boy. Big thanks to everybody who came out. Had a blast today. Our guy Shaft was here hanging out with us. You guys are the reason we do this, and Gila River Resorts makes it just a premier experience. And speaking of experience, check them out right now. They've got the Arizona Cardinals Game Day VIP experience, 2 tickets to the Cards finale against San Francisco, on-field pregame experience when you can heckle Kyler Murray yourself if you want to, lunch at the Morgan Athletic Hub, meet and greet with Big Red and the cheerleaders, VIP stadium parking, and more. Visit playatgila.com/Cardinals to enter. And again, if you haven't made your way out to Wild Horse Pass, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Drop a like on this video. Damon, let's get back to these super chats here as we await Bo Brock. Some pretty damning quotes here from Jonathan Gannon, who is defending his quarterback, and good for him, but you just hope that his quarterback isn't the reason JG may not be around long term. Let's keep it going, Damon Dawg.
Yeah, Panda with Wings X, $2 says fire Petzing, keeping it simple. Carry on Tillman, $9.99 says Connor went down and the offense died. How many offensive holes is he covering over? Don't know what the answers are, but confident they're not in Drew's playbook. What is this passing scheme?
I don't know.
There is no such thing as a passing scheme in this offense. But, yeah, agreed. Connor went down, and your offense just went all the way down as well with it. And it's crazy how many, like you said, like he's filling so many offensive holes for this team right now.
Yeah.
I mean, and you saw it, right? When he's in the game, he's creating plays. He's running after contact. He's gaining yards after he gets hit the first time. Right? He just lights a fire, right? There's just something when James Conner's got the ball in his hands that helps. And when he went down, it was you completely lost everything in your sails, and it just deflated this team.
Free Matter for the Blind, $10 says, I knew we wouldn't beat the Panthers. We never do. I'm still thinking we should fire Petzing, even though our defense let them score 30-plus today. Still enjoyed spending the season with PHNX Sports.
Free Matter for the Blind. This is why we do it. We're not going anywhere, and this coverage is only as quality as the people that make up this community of PHNX Cardinals. It's been a tough week for us. ALLCITY, we had a series of layoffs here that impacted this show with our guy Craig Morgan, and beyond that, many talented people here at ALLCITY, but you guys are the reason. BG, myself, Damon, Bo, we get to do this every single day, and so fortunate for all of you. And we're going to be here throughout the duration of this offseason, putting pressure on this organization to get better because the status quo is not good enough. And I promise you, it's not going to be good enough for JG and Ossenfort. Like, it's going to be a playoffs or bust season next year, and it should be, right? I mean, that was an embarrassing effort today all around, and there are so many more questions unanswered. We're going to have a hell of an offseason. Let's keep it going, Damon.
Yeah, let's do it. We got Ryan Henderson, $4.99 says 3 words, low IQ football.
Agreed.
I mean, how many times Brittan Golden didn't have a play-in, right? That last possession I tweeted out, this looks like August football, preseason stuff, right? Not prepared coming out. Of course, all the penalties. Like they just, when the heat got cranked up, it's so demoralizing because it's the opposite of what we saw, Damon, when they were in Miami. And now, Brittan, you look at this team and it's like, the defense gets a stop in overtime. Yes, Greg Dortch doesn't field the punt. You have to start on your 10. Boo-hoo, welcome to the NFL. Make a couple plays. Throw some balls downfield. And it's like, if we can't pick up 5, 6, 7 yards per carry, Kyler Murray's got to dink it underneath to a running back. I mean, it just that drive exacerbated all the problems that the Cardinals have had all year offensively.
Listen, the Super Chat said every bit of it. Low IQ football. That was bad, just bonehead, like the delay of game in overtime.
Yeah.
It's 3rd and 5. 3rd and 5. I don't know if we're not lined up. I don't know what's going on, but you cannot take a delay of game because you put yourself at 3rd and 10.
Yep.
And you completely ruin the chances. Your chances of picking up the 3rd down just astronomically went out the door. It's just bad ball. Just like you said, low IQ football, and we saw too much of it today.
Can't have that delay a game.
No.
Just absolutely cannot have that.
What are you doing? Get a playoff. Get a playoff. Come on.
Dan Taylor, $5, says this loss is on the defense in Kyler. Petzing called a solid game. Johnny, get a fanboy, though.
Get a fanboy?
Gonna fanboy.
About what?
What is the good game plan that he called? Like, one, don't get me wrong. Yes, execution was bad throwing the ball, but it's been bad for weeks throwing the ball. You lost James Conner, and your game plan went out the door.
I don't know what, like, I've been critical of Kyler Murray. I'm assuming Dan maybe said that before the show started, but, like, Kyler Murray was a big reason they lost today. He's been awful post-bye, and I think that they need to make changes at that position this offseason. Like, maybe it's because I'm not ripping the defense. The defense is what it is. They got backups.
This was the worst
backups.
defensive game we've seen. They got run. I mean, Chuba Hubbard basically had his way.
Yeah, for sure. Like, the defense was atrocious today. But, like, I just – the offense had a chance to win the game multiple times and couldn't do it. They had multiple possessions that they had gotten. And, like, sorry if I think that collectively as an offense, like Petzing, Kyler, and Marv should all take blame. I'm over the notion like one singular person should get all of it. Now, that being said, the quarterback who's making $50 million has to perform. You have to elevate others. Like Bryce Young and Dave Canales or whatever his name is, they elevated their team today. And Kyler Murray and Drew Petzing didn't do that. And
it goes back to what we're talking about. And this is an indictment on Kyler, what I'm about to give you. It's like when bad things happen for Bryce Young, and even go back to the last season, Bryce Young got benched.
Yeah.
Right? He didn't play some this year. He got benched this year a little bit. You got to think about like where when bad things happened to him, there was still a smile on his face. There was still a, hey, we can do this on the side. When bad things happen to Kyler, you don't have that.
No.
He pouts. Right? And it just brings everybody on that sideline's energy down.
You want a guy, and maybe, and this is an argument to have this offseason. This is an argument that I'm sure a lot of people have already brought up. The issues with Marvin Harrison Jr. clearly appear to be mental issues. It's not physical. Everybody that I talk to within that organization, he is a physical freak. We have had Brian Hartline as receiver coach. He out-physicaled in terms of ability Jackson Smith and Jigba, everybody at Ohio State. And so there were zero questions about his physical attributes. Perhaps, and I'm just throwing this out there, Kyler Murray is not the right quarterback to get out of Marv what you need to as it relates to a leader, a mentor. I think, like, I'm not discrediting Marv's part in this because clearly he has not been good this year. It's been average at best. But I think Kyler Murray, like, if you're trying to squeeze the greatness out of Marvin Harrison Jr. and you are also an introvert like Marvin Harrison Jr., that's like, maybe that's oil and water indirectly. And I'm sure they say all the right things. They're buddies off the field. They're friends. That's great. And this isn't a knock on them as individuals or as people. But in terms of like the DNA of what you want from that combination, maybe they're just, you got two guys that are too alike with the wrong reasons involved.
I've just kind of murdered both of them already or going through it. But it's just, I don't know if you can put that like to say Kyler's not the right quarterback for Marvin. Listen, there's not a leader factor in Kyler. Like I said earlier, like you can't really look to Kyler to get motivated because he's not. If something bad happens, like I said earlier, he's pouting. But at the same time, like your job at receiver is to catch the football from whoever is throwing the football. And if you can't catch contested passes, I don't care who is throwing you that ball. It could be the most positive, confident quarterback you've got back there. If you're not catching the football, it's not the quarterback's problem. The ball's hitting you in the hands and the ball's going to the ground. That's an indictment on you. There's a mental game going on. He's got to figure it out because he can't. If he comes out in year 2 and has the same type of drop balls, the same type of no fire, no dog, and running routes and finding ways to create separation, like I think you have to just bite the bullet and realize that you had a bust.
Let's keep going here with those super chats, Damon Dawg.
Let's do it. Steve Kime Burner, $1.99. says refs and entire team lost this game, not just Kyler Murray.
I mean, the officials were atrocious in the first half, and they cost the Cardinals points.
But they didn't lose you the game.
But Cardinals tied it, and they had an opportunity to win it in at the most pivotal point in the fourth quarter and overtime. Like, were the refs terrible? Could the Cardinals have, but the Cardinals weren't helping themselves offensively. Like, I'm buying the notion that the refs were egregiously bad in the first half. That game got reset the minute that Chad Ryland hit that field goal. You had all the momentum to win this game.
Oh, yeah.
Your defense forced a punt. They got a holding penalty. Darius Robinson and company. It was 1st and 20, and they got off the field. Your offense blew it. The offense so many times is the culprit. They were the culprit against the Seahawks. They were the culprit at the end against, the Vikings. They couldn't score touchdowns. Last week, you got lucky. An offensive lineman fell on a football last week to score against New England. Kyler Murray didn't have any passing touchdowns last week. It's the offense, the offense, the offense, especially when you think about the offense is all the premium resources, right? Who's making big-time money on the Cardinal defense right now? Buddha? Okay, he deserves it, right? Kazir White's making no money. Your defensive line, David, these guys aren't being paid a premium. You got a high-priced right tackle. You got a high-priced center now. Quarterback, running back, receivers drafted in the top 5. You got the best tight end maybe in the NFL, and you can't score points. That's an indictment of the quarterback and the offensive coordinator.
Tommy Felix, $5, says, K1 fan here, but realizing he may have hit his ceiling.
Sure.
He may have been effective in college and high school, but in the NFL, it's a different level.
It is. I agree. This is a different level of football, and it's a rude awakening to a lot of people because every one of us that made it to the NFL, we were all good in college. There's the only reason we made it to the NFL, but it's a different beast, and I'll be the first to tell you it's a different game. And I played Division II football. That first game I played in the NFL was like, hello, this is different.
Hello, friends.
Right? So it's a what have you done for me lately league. Right? I don't care what you've done in the past. I don't care what you did for me. You could have been all pro 2 years ago, Pro Bowler 2 or 3 years ago. It doesn't matter. Like, if you're not helping me win right now, you're going to get moved on from eventually.
Let's do a little bit of by the numbers here before we get to some presser clips. Quickly, let's look at this horror show of a graphic. Cardinals lose the turnover battle again here against Carolina. Penalties egregious. Rushing yards, Carolina took the Cardinals to the woodshed. Almost 250 rushing yards. Passing yards, a drop in the bucket. I mean, that's just Carolina's had 1 year to rebuild. They have maybe the worst roster in the NFL. Cardinals, this year 2 of your rebuild, this is what you look like. This is who you are. Like, there's no hiding behind it. I don't want to hear about rebuilds. I don't want to talk about timelines. I don't want to talk about anything other than you got beat by a team that has at times an expansion level roster, a quarterback that looks like he's in junior high in terms of his big JanSport backpack, 82 yards of penalties. You can't force turnovers, and your quarterback can't stop turning the ball over. I mean, this is who the Cardinals are now. Now the big question is, are they going to tap out next week on national TV so everybody can laugh at them again and Cardinal fans can put their head down in shame? I hope to hell they don't do that. Jonathan Gannon right around the corner. We have his presser clips. Hit that like button. It's PHNX Cardinals postgame. Cardinals right now host San Francisco in the finale. Last chance to see the Cardinals in person. There will not be playoffs this year, but there could be cheap tickets in your future. Download the Game Time app today. Create an account. Use the bonus code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Or if you wise up, maybe you go to the Peach Bowl. Watch a real football team in ASU take on the Texas Longhorns. Those tickets are a little pricey. I guarantee you're not going to find them any cheaper than with our friends at Game Time. Download the app today. Use an account. Use the bonus code PHNX. Newly created users only. $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? It's game time. It's also time to save money with our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union, the official credit union of the Arizona Cardinals. It was provided by Counting Cards today. And PHNX Cardinals, Arizona Cardinals, and the Venerable household proudly using our friends at Desert Financial and their team of financial experts ready and committed to their members, offering tailor-made solutions, helping real-life people like you, like me, like Brittan, like Damon, everybody here. Checking accounts, savings, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more. Plus, you can rep the Red Sea with the Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card. Show your team spirit. Again, you don't rep your team on game day. That's your choice. Rep them with your bank account. Open up a free checking account online and go to desertfinancial.com/Cardinals, gentlemen, to get started. And hit that like button again. The goal, 1,000 likes. We are almost a quarter of the way there. Here, let's hear from the head coach, Jonathan Gannon, on a PHNX Cardinals postgame.
Thought he battled. Yeah, I thought he battled. I mean, some of those, the 2-minute drive there, the touchdown play was good. I know the last interception, he's trying to make a play there. I don't fault that at all. He's just like all of those guys, man. He battled and, gave us a chance to put us in position to have a chance to win a game. Yeah, it's just a little, a lot going on right there with that play, with the spot. Was he out of bounds? Was it a first down? Is the clock stopped? Just, a little miscommunication, I think, by everybody involved, which can happen on those bang-bang plays. Ultimately, though, I like what we did. Chad, credit to him, bangs it through from a long one to get us into overtime. Just didn't get it done in overtime. Yeah, I wanted to win the ball. I wanted to win a game. I thought the best chance. I know if you don't get it there, the game's over. But I felt good about the play. I felt good about where we're doing, and I really thought if we converted that, we'd go down and kick a field goal and win a game. So I was, obviously decision-making tries to take in everything into account and try to win a game. That's a good running team. You look at the last 2 months here, and that's what they've been doing to people. I thought that was a component of the game that we didn't handle well enough on defense, the run game, the line of scrimmage. And a component of the game early in the game, more so early than later, was the quarterback extension. He made some explosives in there running the third down. I think the first third down he scrambled, and then hats off to him. He's a good player. That's what he does. But, when you got things that you need to make sure that you handle to give yourself a chance to win, I don't think we handled them well enough today.
We're putting a lot of pressure on Kyler Murray, rightfully so. Drew Petzing, a name you don't hear that often, is JG. Our guy, Jonathan Gannon. Give me your assessment of JG post-bye, and specifically in this game where it felt like they were out-coached as a staff by Dave Canales in Carolina.
I feel like they've been out-coached as a staff 4 out of the last 5 weeks that we've watched football.
Yeah.
Seattle undressed them from the coaching staff to the players both times we played. Carolina did it today. It's just this. I think at this point, to what we've seen, it's there's going to be a lot of people on the hot seat in 2025.
Yeah,
head coach, OC, quarterback. There's going to be there's a lot of people that are sitting on the hot seat that jobs will be on the line with the season next year. And you hate to say it because yes, these guys are good guys, but it doesn't matter how good of a guy you are off the football field, right? You've got to be able to put the right guys up there. You've got to be able to win football games. I want to say I love it, but I want to hear JG indict some of these guys. You don't want to, obviously you want to be a player's coach and you don't want to call out or single people out, but sometimes people need to hear that.
Yeah.
Sometimes people need to hear, he didn't play good enough today. He didn't do what needed to be done. Not when we go out there and see a bad football game from a quarterback. I thought he played well because he didn't play well.
Yeah.
We all know that. We watched the football game. He didn't play well. Offensive line, for the most part, played decent, right, with a bunch of backups in there today, right? But your receivers didn't play well. Your defensive run game was bad today, very bad. Nobody played well. You kind of want to hear some of this stuff. You don't have to call somebody out individually, but you need to come out here and stuff needs to be said. We did not do things well today.
No,
and they did not do a lot of things well today, which is why they were on the receiving end of an L that should have looked a lot worse than it looked.
Kyler Murray's got 16 touchdowns on the year and 9 interceptions. It's just those. You are what your numbers are, and I know he mixes in a running ability, and he's got a handful of rushing touchdowns this year. But, at the end of the day, when you're paying a quarterback the amount of money that Kyler's being paid, this is not, hey, Joshua Dobbs, try to win us some games here. This is a quarterback. You expect the same kind of output from the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. That's why you got that contract. Now, in fairness to JG and company, they didn't give him that deal. Ossenfort didn't give him that deal. And I do believe, they want Kyler Murray to work out, but they also should not be saddled with Kyler Murray as your franchise quarterback. But the problem then becomes is you need resources to fortify this roster in the offseason, right? It's the final year, presumably, of a rebuild, and you ought to be able to think playoffs or bust next year. Are you doing that with a rookie quarterback? Are you sacrificing resources that maybe could have gone to a couple pass rushers, defensive linemen, and instead you're trading up for a QB then it becomes, I feel like we're sitting in a situation very similar to like Cliff Kingsbury's last year, second to last year, where let's trade for Hollywood Brown, or let's go up and let's sign an over the hill JJ Watt, because we're going to fortify the best team possible to get Kyler Murray over the hump. And I think that might be fool's gold by JG. Like I'm all for adding pass rushers, but I don't think this team right now, given with what we've seen, is a pass rusher away. I don't think that they're a couple signature defensive additions away. I think if you're Monti Ossenfort and you're thinking about your position long-term in Arizona, and if you're Jonathan Gannon, you want a smart investment. And I think right now that investment is, I want to keep my picks, I want to keep my dollars, and I want to have an option to pivot off of Kyler Murray if that option presents itself. If it doesn't, and this is like the Kenny Pickett first round of quarterbacks a couple years ago, then nobody's going to blow you grief. But we're talking about Myles Garrett on Friday, and then I watched Kyler Murray be outplayed by Bryce Young today, and it's just like that's a pretty dumb conversation to have right now. Unless Kyler Murray balls out these last two games and everybody feels good about it again, but the Cardinals can't throw the ball downfield. They have no passing game.
No, they don't, and it's been the problem for most of this season. We haven't been able to see anything down the field, and when we have, it's happened one time and then never happened again for the rest of the game. So, I mean, this is one of those things where we've talked about it a million times. That you paid him, you did it, you paid him all the money, you made him the franchise quarterback. You're stuck with him at least through this season and the next season. We can keep talking about bringing a guy in to show some type of competition and this and that, but I don't think you get away from the opportunity to bring in a big time pass rusher and stuff like that. You can help bolster this defense, which in turn could help you down the line. If you got guys on defense, take the Steelers for instance, right? They went through a couple years without a quarterback, right? Now they got Russell Wilson and the guys this year that have started to play a little bit better late now, but they had TJ Watt on that defensive line, and he can change games, right? Even if your offense isn't up to par, you can change games with a defender and a defense like that. So I don't think you pass up the opportunity if it's available to get you. I think you still have to really go out there and try to find, some pass rushers if you can. All right, if you got to give up a pick, maybe. But, if you have an opportunity to get, a really good quarterback and it's going to cost you, yes. At this point, I don't see why you don't pull the trigger on it.
Yeah, go and sign Hassan Reddick in free agency. Go and add a couple defensive linemen, and then certainly in the draft as it comes to you. But we know the Cardinals tried to trade significant assets into the future at the trade deadline, and give them credit. We were all clamoring for it, for premier pass rushers. They called the Dallas Cowboys about Micah Parsons, right? But I feel like now with what because they didn't assume this was going to come from Kyler Murray. Well, you've seen it now. And you've got real tangible evidence that this is who he is, for better or worse, post-bye, late in the year. Like, Micah Parsons is not winning you the NFC West if Kyler Murray can't score points in December and January. Like, if you're Monti Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon, and it's cliche, and I'm sorry that I keep bringing this up, is this like a Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz kind of thing, where you go and you find a quarterback between picks, 15 to 50 next year, if there's one available, that you can begin to mold, that resets your rookie timeline. And then you're putting yourself in a position. Okay, well, maybe I am in a position to get a pass rusher down the line. I don't think next year you can go all in with this roster, given where Kyler Murray is. He hasn't shown enough yet. Everybody who's watching with our streaming partners, jump on over to gophnx.com. Big thanks to everybody watching live. So much show left, including your super chats. But if you are watching with some of our phenomenal streaming partners, go to gophnx.com, become a diehard, and smash that like button. We got 1,000 people watching on YouTube alone. Damon, Dawg, let's get back to these super chats. Hoping to get Bo Brack at Bank of America Stadium as Kyler Murray continues to meet with the media.
Yeah, we'll have Bo Brack here shortly. Meanwhile, let's go to Jonathan Castro. 499 says, Cliff headed to the playoffs with the Commanders while our $50 million QB goes on vacation this January.
It's an indictment. I said it during the broadcast. A lot of guys on the Cardinals look like they'd rather be in Cabo right now. And that's not taking a shot at K1. It's just, this is a performance business, man. You got to perform. That's why I love football. This isn't baseball, which so many times is like a single entity. You get your stats, you go home. basketball max contracts for bad players on bad franchises. It's just like when you're playing quarterback, numbers are great. Nothing else matters. Can you perform when your team needs you?
Yeah, and we haven't seen that in any type of big game we've had this year. The quarterback has not shown up in the big games.
Yeah.
He's beaten average to below average teams,
Yeah.
but then again today you got outplayed by a below average football team. Bryce Young played a much better football game. He didn't wow you with stats, but he was accurate. He completed balls. He threw the deep ball, threw touchdown passes, got his team in position, to move the ball downfield and to score. And Kyler Murray did not get that job done.
No, let's keep it going, Damon, Dawg.
Keep it going here with our guy Jacob. 499 says 3 weeks ago I had playoff hope. 3 hours ago I had playoff hope. What does next season look like?
I think it's this offseason. Buckle up and subscribe to PHNX Sports. We're going to cover every inch of it, but we're going to talk about quarterback replacements. We're going to talk about OC replacements. We're going to talk about can Marv come out of his shell. It's going to be a whirlwind, and no one's going to cover it like PHNX Sports and PHNX Cardinals. No one's going to co-host this pod any better than my co-host right now, jumping on live from Bank of America Stadium. It is Bo Brack, witness at hand to the horror shows that were the Cardinals' playoff-ending loss here at Carolina, 36-30. Cardinals outplayed, outclassed. Kyler Murray not good down the stretch. Your initial takeaway after hearing from JG and Kyler Murray following an egregious loss, Bo Brack?
Yeah, brutal loss, a season ender. Fitting that they got eliminated with the loss. First time they lost to a sub-500 team all season long, 5-0 going in this contest. It pains me to say, but you were right. Shouldn't have taken this Panthers team for granted. I'm going to throw up now on the field. They're going to have to come clean this one up. But look, if there wasn't just something that kind of encapsulated the Arizona Cardinals' downfall this season, it was the two plays that they couldn't connect on, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray in the final drive offensively. I mean, there it was. And you couldn't get just a few yards that you were trying to on those two plays. But unfortunately, they couldn't connect, and they couldn't put themselves in a decent spot to at least flip the field. And it puts the Panthers in the driver's seat to score that game-winning, well, it was a walk-off touchdown, but it could have very well easily been a field goal. But they put the exclamation point on it, and they put the Cardinals in their grave for the 2024 season.
Do you feel like Kyler Murray now reopens the questions from this fan base and maybe this front office that the Cardinals need to look outside the organization for upgrades at the position, Bo? I mean, it looked today. I mean, you texted me during the game. He's not looking downfield. People are questioning, is he healthy? When you're outplayed by Bryce Young, I mean, we can bitch and moan about, Drew Petzing and Gannon plays a part in this and Marvin hasn't been good. Like, Kyler Murray 1-4 post the bye. I mean, it's dejecting. And is this a big question mark if this is who Kyler Murray is late in the season?
Yeah, it's really unfortunate because the opportunities were there. And sure, you didn't have a stacked deck. You weren't exactly dealt, 4 aces as far as it goes. But at the same time, when you're getting the paycheck, you got to go undergo the scrutiny. And to be given a chance, multiple chances to go out there and win and kind of perform like he did, I absolutely he's going to be put underneath a microscope the entire offseason. I mean, I think the reality is Kyler Murray's this team's quarterback going forward. I think the reality is Drew Petzing is your play caller going forward. But is the team going to come up with, contingency and backup plans and maybe try to, light a fire to both of those people at their respective positions? I think that's probably the route that they would go.
Bo Brack joining us via our friends at Coach Stark Homes. Our dear friend, Coach Stark. Are you in the market for a home? If so, get a hold of Coach Stark today. He will help you out. Get in touch with him. This is his phone number. He helped me buy a house. He could do the same for you. 623-695-3929. Or visit him at CoachStarkHomes.com or follow him on all socials, Coach Stark Homes. Give him the @ sign. Plus, you can rent a free Pit Boss grill. We'll drop some info on that. Love our guy, Coach Starks. Excited to see him root on the ASU Sun Devils viable team. Cardinals, not so much. He was texting me throughout the game. Just a horror show of epic proportions, Bo. You mentioned it. Marvin Harrison Jr. not good in this game. Again, had 2 critical drops. Just talk to us about, like, what you're seeing from Marvin Harrison Jr. because, Brittan and I are discussing it. Like, maybe what Marv needs, because it's clearly a mental thing. is a different play caller or different quarterback to get out what you need to. Because right now, Bo, the way the Cardinals offense, the infrastructure, you cannot run this back. Something's got to give. Quarterback, play caller, receiving core. I mean, they have no ability to throw the ball downfield. It's especially now when James Conner leaves the offense. It looks like a high school offense.
Right, and you didn't even really need that to move the ball today, as we saw. I mean, and on several different drives, they were able to, get chunk yardage even without having the benefit of getting air yards. But when it came down to it, just trying to play pass and catch in overtime, they didn't do it. And it, like I said, it kind of encapsulates the season between the quarterback and the wide receiver. And, I think as far as playing with the aggressiveness necessary, it's not there yet, at least from the wide receiver spot, Marvin Harrison Jr. And it's like, okay, so how do you work on that in the offseason? And I think that's going to be big. And how do you work on that, developing that rapport outside of just getting, yards versus air between Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. There isn't a whole lot of confidence, as there should be. There's nothing that's tangible that you could say, hey, this is where they can kind of take it from here. It's going to take, the players themselves really kind of figuring out what went wrong, looking back at the tape and kind of visiting the moments where they fell short this season.
Like, what do you make of Marv heading into this offseason? Brittan Golden, certainly can't be relied upon to come back as the team's one next year. How would you handle Marvin Harrison Jr. beginning in January?
I mean, I think, like we talked about earlier, I think there's a need to bring in a veteran receiver. I think there's a need to bring in somebody that's done this before, that's been good, that he can kind of feed off of. And him being the number one, that's not he's not tough enough at this point. He's not mentally tough enough. He's not physically tough enough to be your number one receiver. And when that's your guy, that's supposedly your number one, nobody can help feed off of that. So I think you got to find a way to get somebody in here on a 1-year deal like that and get some type of life in that receiver room. There's somebody, he's got to be able to see and watch somebody go out there and get open, create separation, fight for the ball in the air, come down with contested catches. We don't have anybody on this football team Trey McBride's the only one that catches the ball if it's contested catch. Outside of that, there's nobody out here that has enough dog that wants to just go get the football. And he's your number one. You can't, I don't care if he's a rookie, you drafted him and put him in the position to be the number one. And if he can't do that, he can't be your number one. You need to go find somebody that can do that and then move him to the number two and find ways off of that.
Bo, what's your prediction now? We got 2 games left. They could be disasters given the 2 teams they're facing. But, your prediction of what this front office is prepared to do, because if you're Monti Ossenfort, Marv is your investment. You have to cash in on that. Kyler Murray, as you mentioned, is under contract. Do you think that, if we look ahead to the Rams and the 49ers, could the Cardinals be 2 games away from firing Drew Petzing just because, that's the only option feasibly they have for 2025? You're not getting rid of Kyler or Marv. So, if you're Jonathan Gannon, do you have a conversation with Ossenfort? Is that the play, do you think?
Yeah, guys, this isn't me talking with my opinion as far as on the play caller. It's just what I see from the organization. I see that it's pretty far-fetched. They would have to bottom out. They would absolutely have to bottom out. And I know this is pretty low.
Isn't this a bottoming out, though?
At the bottom.
I feel like you lost to the Panthers. They had 3 games. You're 1-4 post the bye, and the offense is terrible.
Johnny, I'm not sitting here and I'm telling you just what as far as how I feel like this organization feels right now. I'm not telling you as far as that's not my opinion.
I know.
This they would have to go lower than this as far as for them to lose complete confidence in him. And I know that's unfortunate for people to hear. It's just that's just kind of the sense I get. So I feel you guys. I can't tell you what you want to hear. I feel like it would be disingenuous.
No. I know it's not your opinion. I guess I'm having trouble, Bo. How does Jonathan Gannon, who we both have immense respect for, he's been on this show. I think he's done a good job, and I think Ossenfort's done a good job. You're 1-4 post bye, and the biggest culprit is this offense. You have no passing game. You have no semblance of a passing game. And you look at these next 2 games, they're not going to be favored now in either of these games. They're not going to be favored against San Francisco in the finale. They're going to get potentially boat raced on national TV next week. Like, if you're not getting rid of Kyler Murray, and you're certainly not getting rid of Marvin Harrison Jr., like, trying to get people jazzed up. Like, we know the defense is going to be better. They're going to add key pieces in the offseason.
Yeah.
Like, the offense, outside of maybe an additional wideout and a guard, this is who the offense is. I have a tough time buying the fact that Gannon can sit up there post this season when you were 6-4 and everything was in front of you, and then you guys wet the bed because not your side of the ball collapsed. I just don't know how he defends the return of the entire group. Again, if you want to trade Kyler Murray after this year, and there's an opportunity to do that, and you can upgrade, I'm not going to sit here and say don't do that, but I think a singular major change has to come from leadership. Don't you agree with that? Like, there's no way that this franchise can sell this fan base on run it back. We need more reps. When you're watching Carolina take you to the woodshed, when Terry McLaurin and Jaden Daniels are doing it year one, like I can't be sold on, hey, we just need more time. You're out of time. I think you've run out of time with this group and the infrastructure. Am I wrong?
I don't disagree with a lot of what you said. I just think that the reality is what this team is likely to do is to move forward with the status quo as far as, head coach, offensive play caller, and quarterback. I could be wrong. It could become, Black Monday and they pivot off of it, and we'd be interested to see what direction they go. And we'll certainly sit there and give the whatever insight comes our way. But as far as they've got 2 games to play. We'll see how those play out. But, I think that they're all picking up the pieces as far as they collectively lost this game. I mean, it was one of the worst defensive performances they've had in a long time. It was undisciplined from every single angle of this one. But I hear you. I mean, as far as the main culprit, if you're saying who's to blame for this collapse post-bye, I don't think anybody can make the case against the offense.
Yeah, and I just trying to be fair here. And again, like, I don't want to put my co-host on the spot of, like, this is happening, right? I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'm just saying, like, it's damn near impossible. You're not moving off Marv. Kyler Murray, like,
right.
Conceivably, there's a chance you could move off of him, but things would have to fall right. The easiest option to move off of anybody is the guy who's calling plays. And so that's kind of my point of what I'm trying to ration out. Like, those are the big ticket items. Like, nobody wants to see this team, after you've invested in Michael Wilson, Trey, and Marvin, go out and sign respectfully like an 100-year-old Devontae Adams. And I know he's doing good things today, but I watched him be a shell of himself without good quarterback play with the Raiders beforehand. Like, I don't think that you can sit here and say, like, a receiver in free agency a la A.J. Green once upon a time is going to fix it. I just think that the core is so rotten down to the studs here that you got to start hacking off pieces. You're not window dressing a complete gut job.
No, and I'm not saying that a Devontae Adams is going to come in here and fix all your problems.
No, I know.
It's more the fact of, having your guy that you want to be your number one, that you brought in for that reason, to see that.
Yeah.
To see how that guy prepares, to see how he gets in the game when things don't go his way. If he puts the ball on the ground, what happens next? Does he put it back on the ground? No, he didn't do that. Like, he finds a way. He gets open. He creates separation. It's what I was talking about. We just don't have anybody at the receiver position that can create separation. There's just nobody that we have that does that. And it puts Kyler Murray in a bad situation because now he's trying to pitter-pat his feet back there because he's sitting there and he's waiting and he's waiting and he's waiting and nobody's getting open. There's just nowhere to go with the football, right? So it hurts everybody on the offensive side when you don't have a guy that can do that. And I'm just saying, for any type of reason, just find. It doesn't have to be. I'm not saying it's Devontae Adams. Right. You just got to find a guy that's done it, that's established, that's been through the ringer, that knows how to create separation and that can help guys in this aspect, whether it's practice, whether it's working outside of the facility, and just like, this is what you have, this is what I see, this is how I make a plan to get off of that, and you just don't have that.
What we do
offensively,
go ahead, Bo.
The passing game, especially the Kyler connection, you can look at 3 people that take an immense amount of blame, and deservedly so, from the quarterback to the playmaker to the play caller. Like, could the play caller do a better job to scheme him open? Could the playmaker do a better job you winning, one-on-one matchups and winning 50-50 balls, and could the ball placement be better? I think, that's all fair. I mean, and it's unfortunate that you're just like, okay, well, where's the smoking gun here? Who do we point to and say,
Right.
this is why it didn't work? And I think, unfortunately, you got three people who are going to have a tough time beating those allegations for a full off-season's length of time.
Mm-hmm.
And my point throughout all this is, well, who's the easiest to move off of? Like, even if it's not Drew Petzing's fault, there has to be. I think you need a scapegoat. I think if we're sitting here, Bo, and if they're 7-10 after starting 6-4, and the offense is the culprit, I want somebody held accountable. I want heads to roll come January.
Yeah.
I do not want to sit here. And I love Jonathan Gannon. I do not think Jonathan Gannon is at all in jeopardy of losing his job. He's done a tremendous job, but I do think his faith maybe in Drew Petzing. I think might potentially run its course. We've got Kyler Murray. Let's hear from the franchise quarterback.
Let me give a thought real quick.
Go ahead.
Quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think, on the heels of losses, on the heels of a 4-13 season last year, you hear Jonathan Gannon saying he's willing to look at things, the tape with a critical eye, and look at his process with a critical eye, and being willing to blow it all up. If they have, conversations, especially the lockstep head coach and GM, and they come to the conclusion of that, I mean, I don't think it's as far-fetched as maybe like some people and myself as I'm putting it right now. But if they're going to look at it and try to they're going to ask themselves why they didn't make the playoffs, why they went 7-10, why they performed like they did post-bye. And if they determine one person's to blame for that, I think that they could absolutely make a big move.
We can strip it down, but they keep stacking losses post-bye. We know what the culprit's going to be, the smoking gun. Let's get to it. Damon, Dawg, here's Kyler Murray.
We came out flat. I know the guys. We came out on this trip understanding, who we were playing, how they've been playing lately. I don't think we didn't take the team lightly at all. But it's the NFL, and you come out and you do that, put yourself behind. We fought back though and had a chance to win the game, and that's all that matters. And we didn't do it. So, it's part of the game. I'm happy that we got back in the game, but again, like I said, we didn't win the game. So. Well, the first one, I don't think Marv was offsides, and then after that, PI on Buddha. The ball's out of bounds. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Came out of the huddle, not lined up in the proper formation. Kind of shot ourselves in the foot right there.
We're going to hear from Bo Brack in just a second, but big thanks to everybody here at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, Wild Horse Pass. Big thanks to everybody that came out. It is, I think we've got one more event here. We're going to confirm that here later this week, Saturday night, primetime matchup. But Arizona Cardinals on the road, taking on the LA Rams. And again, the staff here at Gila has been first class. Everybody here that drove up, that we've had dating back to our watch parties. It's been no better place to watch a game than with all of you. The Cardinals, Brittan Golden, have not done their part in winning games since we've been here.
No, they have not. I can't. How many wins do they have since we've been up here? Maybe one?
One or two? Yeah.
It's been pretty bad. The vibes are good. It's an awesome place. They got a great facility out here, but Cardinals just don't seem to be able to get it done. And it's been a reoccurring theme for about 2 years now, and it's what we've talked about all day. It's to the point, right? Like, heads are going to have to start rolling, or you can't have the same type of product next season. It can't come out and show the same type of, performance and effort in this. If you show it again, it's just the offense looks horrendous, and they have all season long.
I get heated with my co-host. There's no better place to be here on PHNX Cardinals. Bo, anything we haven't touched on? Because I know we're focused on the offense. Defense was atrocious today. Looks like this defense that had overachieved at times, maybe running out of gas post-bye. What's your assessment?
Yeah, that's about right. They didn't get pressure. And at times, I thought Bryce Young did really well with that pressure in his face, and it's really unfortunate. But yeah, to give up 30 points, and I know they got put in pretty good position early in the first half. Like the 20 points that they put up in the first half, you just can't gift them that. You hear Kyler say in his clip, they understood what was on the line, but the tape tells a different story, unfortunately. And then the penalty that they had to absorb there on third down, and saying operation wise they weren't crisp. They came out in the wrong formation after they had to burn both of their timeouts in overtime. I mean, that's just brutal. And no, I mean the defense, it kind of spoke for itself. The offense continued to kind of shoot itself in the foot. The injuries were unfortunate, but at this point in the season, everybody's dealing with it. I mean, James Conner was a one-man wrecking crew, and then when he went out of there, it was a lot tougher offensively. But that's where you say, hey, okay, we lean on a passing game, and they couldn't do so. They couldn't make that pivot, and that as it continues to be the kind of the tail of the season.
Yeah, Marv, Kyler, Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, they're all healthy. Greg Dortch, Zay Jones, and your passing game goes without a whimper here. Let's get back to these super chats. Damon, Dawg, I know we got a lot of people waiting. I appreciate that. Over 900 watching on YouTube alone. Hit that like button. We're climbing to our goal of 1,000 likes. Everybody smash that like button. If you're watching on Twitter, jump on over. Let your voice be heard at gophnx.com.
We got 59 super chats right now. We still have not read. 76 total. Chat is just crushing it today, letting their voice be heard. Yeah,
want to stand up.
Do we want to dismiss Bo, or you want to hang out?
Let's go through a couple of them.
All right, let's do it.
Sounds good. Genia Boy 499 says Kyler folds in the clutch every time we need him. Losing to the Panthers is unforgivable.
Yep, it is. Can't defend it. Can't defend what we saw today, especially that late pick. Oh, my God.
Cruz 499 says, I defend Kyler time after time, and he spits in my face. Marv won't come back on passes, and Drew Petzing is a pathetic coach. What a sorry team.
It's just not been good.
Well, I mean, it's just how do you run that group back next year? Somebody's got to go. It's like Survivor Island. You got to vote somebody off the island. Who's the easiest to vote off? Yeah. That group cannot. Michael Wilson, we love Michael. He needs more targets. Trey's an All-Pro. You re-sign James Conner. You got to get rid of somebody.
They probably won't. They're probably not going to get rid of him.
No, don't say that. They ain't winning these next two games, bro. If they lose these next two games, somebody's getting fired or somebody's getting traded.
Getting back to it, Booms 999 comes in, says, it's been tough being a K1 defender in the Discord. We need a fire poop Hudson. He and K1 is like water and oil. One has got to go, and I'll follow Kyler to his new team if it gets to that. Hold the line for K1.
Yeah, it's a tough scene, Bo, when you've got Cliff Kingsbury winning games with Washington. I know Cliff is not perfect, and he's not a good head coach, but, I mean, the collapses, they're synonymous with K1, are they not?
No, they're right there. It's really gross. Basically solidified their playoff spot, and the Cardinals got eliminated from anything they mathematically had a chance at. It's the worst kind of poetry I've ever read.
Daniel Roberts, 5 pounds, says only one franchise could safely navigate from 6-4 to 7-10. It was close, but they are going to make it our very own Arizona Cardinals.
And here's even worse: is there's a very good chance the Cardinals still finish last in the NFC West. If they lose out, they started 2-0 in the division. They finished 2-4. The Niners, if they win today, I mean, there's a significant chance the Cardinals finish last in the NFC West.
Jason, $5.
Give me that fourth place schedule, please. Give me that fourth place schedule.
God. No, give me somebody losing their job.
There we are, Bo. Now we're talking. Jason, $5 says, I'm re-alived, actually. No more. Not exactly sure what he's trying to say here, but play free, finish strong in the last 2 holes. No more knee knocker putts at BG.
Yeah,
letting you know there some golf lingo.
Yeah,
this is when you get nervous. When you get nervous on the green, right?
Oh yeah, knee knockers. When you got that little 3-foot putt, it's got about $150 on the line.
Sorry, I'm golf illiterate over here. We got Illadre, our friend, $4.99, saying waste of a season.
It is. You can't preach rebuild. The rebuild's done. You were at 6-4. You were ahead of schedule, and even if you weren't going to make the playoffs, you had to continue to show progress. You wet the bed. No one's going to remember the 6-4 start. Just like when Cliff Kingsbury went 6-3 and finished 8-8, nobody cared about how they started. Same thing when they were 9-1. Your collapses are synonymous with you, and then it becomes with Jonathan Gannon. Do you want Jonathan Gannon to be synonymous with Kyler Murray's collapses, or do you want to make a change there?
Yeah, this is not going 8-8 in year 2 with your quarterback, and you're like, hey, I want to jump on that and just ride this thing, potentially to the top. This is, there's a little bit of a stigma here where it's like, we saw this team it had an opportunity and it blew it, and is there a ceiling on this thing? And no matter like who they sign, who they draft, is it going to remain there? And that's unfortunate because you got a chance to be, this year's Texans.
Panda with Wings X, $5 says, thought Petzing called a good game until Connor got hurt, and then it was bad. MHJ was terrible late. Kyler is broken. Maybe we draft Ewers in the second round.
I think a quarterback in the first 2 rounds is 100% in play. I don't think you can sit here. I was ready to be in a position where let's trade for a pass rusher. The Cardinals were open to that significantly. Now it's like you got to pearl clutch your first and second round pick, and you got to get somebody else in here. It's just smart. It's the smart thing to do. Kyler Murray has had multiple chances. I love Kyler Murray. It's not an indictment of him as a person. Can't do this again because it's going to cost people. If you're Ossenfort and Gannon, it's going to cost you your jobs.
Adam C. 499 says this team isn't the right fit for MHJ. He's lost all confidence and hasn't been developed. That said, he's still responsible for his own performance.
Yeah.
What do you think about MHJ, Bo?
I hate to be like, hey, he doesn't have that dog in him, but we haven't seen it. Hasn't showed up outside of 2 games, and down the stretch here, it's been non-existent as far as the aggressiveness that you need to play with, and he's going to have a come to Jesus moment with himself to figure out, how he can kind of up his game along with the rest of his offense. But we've seen the skill set on display, but to say that you're not underwhelmed by the performances rookie season, I think you'd be lying to yourself.
Let's get back to it. Steve Kimes Burner 199 says K1 was holding his wrists in the fourth quarter. Let Izzy.
Yeah, I mean, injuries. Like I hate to say like injuries don't matter, but they don't matter because Kyler Murray's been injured. This is not, Iron Man streak. With some of these quarterbacks, Josh Allen, et cetera, like this, Kyler Murray gets hurt at the end of the year. Kyler Murray collapses at the end of the year. Like those, I think, like, do you want me to sit here and say, like, I think Kyler Murray throws a beautiful football when he's healthy, but then you put him through the ringer of a 16, 17 game season and he wears down and his body is subjected to a lot of hits. And like all of this right now, like if you were a Kyler Murray detractor, and we know there's a good amount of them, or somebody who did not like this franchise, you could say, well, Kyler Murray's going to get hurt, and the Cardinals are going to collapse down the stretch because that's what's happened each of the prior 6 years, sans the year, he was rehabbing, and that's what's happened.
Again, we talked about it earlier. If there was something wrong with him, and it's hindering his ability to throw the ball, that's on you as an organization, as a coaching staff. If you knew about it, prior, and you let it go, and now you're complaining about, he just, it's too late for he was hurt. Oh yeah, that's. It's the NFL. If he's hurt and he can't do it, go find somebody. There's guys sitting at home. I'm not saying that they're great, but there's people out there that can sling it. So, I mean, you've dug your own grave at this point.
We've dug Bo Brock's grave. It's 30 degrees in Bank of America. Bo, I wish you well, my friend. Safe travels back to the Valley. We will see you mañana on Monday's show, my guy.
Guys, thank you, Coach Stark, for making this happen. Make sure you check out Coach Stark Homes, for getting you into your dream home. Guys, I will see you in the Valley of Sun. Thank you.
All right.
Warm up, my guy. We're going to warm up these super chats here. Keep them going, Damon Dawg.
C. Manich 199, most disgusted I've been in a loss in a long time.
It's pretty ugly to watch.
Yep. I thought they were going to pull it out. I thought when they kicked the field goal and they got the stop, I said, okay, they're going to win this game, and we're going to be disappointed with individual performances, but they're going to win when it matters most. Nope, this is who they are. And there's, I think, significant changes on deck. You have to make changes.
Wolf Langus, 499. Kyler Murray's running ability does not make up for his lack of consistent passing yards and touchdown passes.
100%.
I agree. I still think they don't do enough to get him outside of the pocket and at least force the issue.
But that's not sustainable. I mean,
no, it's not. I'm just saying you got to at least it's a skill set he has is running the football, and all these pass plays are him just sitting in the pocket. Like I don't know. I'm not the OC. I mean, I don't want to be.
Here are his stats this year: 16 touchdowns, 9 picks, passer rating, middle of the pack. Going to throw for about 3,700 yards this year. I mean, those are those are numbers that, for the most part, like a solid starting quarterback gets you, but not a video where, at the end of the day, like, or a position where you're going to get top 10 production for $50 million. You're just not getting your money's worth.
Illadre $4.99. Johnny V called it. No one listened.
I thought this game would be close, but I was hopeful that enough James Conner could get you over the hump. But I've punted on this passing game. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me like 20 times this year, shame on me. I'm at the point with this offense where I'm ready to see changes this offseason. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in the infrastructure. I've lost significant belief in the quarterback. Marvin Harrison Jr. has disappointed me. And now if James Conner's out, the only person I can trust, 14 and 85, but they got to get the football from the quarterback. Defensively, I still think the Cardinals have overachieved this year, but this offense, I put it on Twitter. I think it needs a wrecking ball this offseason, but some people are like, that's an overreaction. Have you been watching this team? What have you been watching post-bye? The playoffs are right here. They blew it.
4C33, $1.99. Might as well get Jesus Jameis and tank for Arch.
Now, I think if Monti Ossenfort's allowed to go and look for opportunities elsewhere, I got to think it's going to be in the draft.
We got Brian Pagatti, $5, says we have too many character guys and not enough football players.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes back to, like, I think the Cardinals need – it's so important to have a quarterback that can elevate other people on the field and off the field. And if Kyler Murray, the biggest criticism is probably that.
Yeah, he's not, I mean, he's probably a great human off the field.
He is.
He just doesn't have the leadership qualities to be your captain of your offense. And he doesn't show it. He doesn't get anybody. Nobody gets fired up, looking at his demeanor, because if nothing goes wrong, it's just a pal.
Yeah.
Right? So it's
Brandon Kim, $4.99. Sad beyond believed. K1 regressed. MHJ is a bust. Fire Petzing today. Hard to be a Cards fan. Hurts bad. Makes my beer taste bad. Make the pain stop.
I wish I could. All we can do is buckle down for the next 2 weeks, see if this team has any pride left, and or if they're shot for the year. And
just keep drinking till the beer tastes good.
We're done. I mean, they're in a position right now where you just have to see, like, who's going to show up on Saturday and put forth an effort, or who's tapping out. And anybody who taps out is like, I don't want that guy part of my franchise. I don't want them part of my organization. So let's keep it going, Damon.
Tyrannical Goat 12, $4.99 says, not saying they should fire JG at all, but that loss was a fireable offense. I hope it is a firing for Petzing and the whole offensive staff, and MHJ equals mid.
Yeah, he is the definition of mid. They're not firing Gannon. Gannon's got at least one more year. I think he's in a position to hopefully make the playoffs, get an extension. I think he deserves that. But here's where Jonathan Gannon is. He's a defensive head coach whose defense has bad personnel, and he's got an offense where most of the resources went, and his buddy who's the OC is underperforming, and his quarterback's underperforming, and his first-round pick's underperforming. And that's a lot for him. I mean, he's a defensive head coach. I don't think anybody would doubt if you give him a couple more pieces defensively, the Cardinals are going to be lights out. But it's an offensive league. So this is going to be probably the most pivotal offseason for the Cardinals under this regime to figure out what the plan is offensively. It's all about the offense.
Wolf Langus is back, $4.99, says MHJ seems to do a lot of little things wrong, not coming back to the ball, etc.
Is that coaching? Is that mental? Is that both? I think you want to send a message to Marv like, okay, we're going to fire maybe your OC or the guy who coaches you individually in practice, but then that shows you like, okay, we're going to get new people in here, maybe even a new quarterback. Now it's up to you to make it work. And if it doesn't, then you can start sitting here. We'll know if Marv can play this time next year or not. We'll have an idea.
Brian Lopez, $5. Another game K1 is outperformed by the opposite QB. K1, he is not him. # move on.
He's an average quarterback right now.
He's been very average since the bye.
Yep. No
Tommy
doubt.
Felix, $5. Where is the one-handed catches from MHJ from practice? 0 effective pass play calling. All last-minute throws behind the line. Petzing is done.
I don't want to see one-handed catches. I want to see the ball being caught.
When did you
Use
see catches,
both hands.
period?
Just catch the football.
Hand catches would be great.
Just in anything. Just catch at this point, I'll take the body catch. Just catch the daggone football.
Wolf Langus with his third chat here, $1.99. Kyler Murray has no leadership on the sideline.
I mean, if you didn't like Kyler Murray before this this stretch, you hate him now. And again, like I'm never going to root against players that rep, the red and white. And I think Kyler Murray's done a lot of good for this franchise. But I'm also not going to sit here and say, like, when the time comes and if you can upgrade, you need to pivot off of him. He just hasn't shown you enough.
Neoman 15, 199. Monty, fire Drew Petzing and promote Drew Terrell.
Yeah, I mean, I think that those are the kind of shakeups we're going to be talking about. Like
you said, that's the only thing happening, the only major change that you could possibly see, which I don't expect it, but it would be the only way you would go would to be move on from your OC. That's the only viable thing that you can even put together right now because of the contract situations with everyone else.
I mean, they're gonna be working out quarterbacks this offseason.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be doing top 40 visits, top 30 visits with quarterbacks. And if you're Kyler Murray, it's like, what is there to even say? It's like you brought this on yourself. If you've got, good Lord, a Quinn Ewers or somebody like that, give me somebody that doesn't make me want to throw up in my mouth. Who's a quarterback that could go first 2 rounds that could be available in the middle of the first round? Damon.
Cam Ward, maybe?
Yeah, I think he's going to go higher than that. But, like, Jesus.
You're getting the same player.
I mean, if Ossenfort should have his own opportunity to draft a quarterback, right? I think can we all agree on that? Like Ossenfort and JG, if they want to take a quarterback, they're not getting Shador, they're not getting Cam Ward, but all right, let me scroll down here on Tankathon because that's our life now is with our friends at Tankathon.
So gross, Johnny.
Jalen, like if they love Jalen Milroe and they're like Jalen Milroe's our guy and we're going to take Jalen Milroe. Like, I'm not going to say, like, you're wrong for that. Like, they should have a chance to draft their own quarterback, whether it's Quinn Ewers, Jalen Milroe, Dirt McGirt. I don't care who it is. Like, but I can't
think of a worse fit for the dink and dunk offense than Jalen Milroe. Guy just chucks it downfield.
I think if you're drafting a quarterback, Petzing has to be gone. Like, I don't want Petzing near a rookie quarterback. Good Lord. I also don't think there's a veteran you could bring in that's going to be better than Kyler Murray. But Kirk Cousins, you can't afford Kirk Cousins and Kyler Murray on the same deal. Kirk Cousins can't even move. He might be done. You're not getting a free agent quarterback better than Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray would be the best free agent quarterback available, but that's the fool's gold of free agency. It has to be through the draft, and maybe it just doesn't present itself, and you got to run it back. Like you can only do with what you have, and what you have right now is an average quarterback in a bad free agent draft quarterback class.
People want Dylan Gabriel in the chat.
Okay, I'm not doing No, we're not doing that. We can do Cam Scatterbo all you want this offseason. We will do it till the cows come home. Dylan Gabriel at 5'10" with his rag arm. I'm not doing that. I can't do another undersized quarterback for the next 10 years. Give me somebody above 6 foot. We'll have a conversation. We're not doing Dylan Gabriel. Get that out of here, please.
Carpfish 999. Kyler Murray is actually the worst quarterback in the NFL in the second half of the season. Not a leader. Can't see the field, absolutely awful, and looks so disengaged on the sideline. He needs to go.
Well, I think you draft somebody, and then Kyler plays well, and then if he collapses, you sub him out. Like this, to your point, this is a perfect time. If you had like Jalen Milroe on the roster, it's like go play against the Rams next week. Yeah. Kyler's banged up. Go throw Quinn Ewers in there. Good Lord.
That's aggressive.
I hate all of this. All of this. I hate it. But this is the reality. They put themselves in this position.
Hector Frimbras, $5. Fire Drew, that's all. Merry Christmas, crew.
If they lose the next 2 games and the offense looks terrible, they have to fire him.
Merry Christmas, though.
Merry Christmas. Or whatever holiday that you choose to celebrate.
Happy holidays.
Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah. Damon, I'm sure I'm missing a couple here. You're a learned man. You got 2 master's degrees.
Just happy holidays, brother.
Happy holidays.
Nice and simple. Run the damn ball. Artie McFly, $5. Honestly, I don't blame JG. This is on the team. Kyler is 6 years in, and his heroics are reminiscent of Carson Wentz. And Marv, go talk to your dad.
I mean,
we should just make
he's got a Hall of Famer for a dad. Like
just make him the position coach.
I mean, I don't know.
Z Warlock 505. When I see Kyler on the sideline sitting and pouting on the bench or shaking his head with teammates, I don't see a champion. The poor decision making has been consistent.
There's no leadership quality in
If
that.
you dislike Kyler Murray, the good news for you is 2025 will be his last season if he's on the roster. I mean, he will have competition at the minimum, and at the worst case scenario, he could be gone this offseason. What could you get for if you tried to trade Kyler Murray this offseason?
It's got to be somebody desperate for a quarterback.
Well, yeah, if you look at some of these franchises that feel
Tennessee, maybe.
Yeah, you could call Tennessee. You could call I don't know.
What are you getting?
The Colts, maybe.
What are you getting?
I think you could try to get like a top 50 pick, maybe. You probably get a top 50 pick.
Yeah. I don't know.
But then they're like, what are you doing at quarterback?
That's what I'm saying. So
you're getting fired. You're the Giants. You're the Raiders.
Chris Carrasco, $5. I've said it from the beginning. Marvin isn't a number one receiver. No DB is scared of him or any of our receivers. Besides Trey, we have no one. Not all on Kyler Murray.
it's not all on him, but he still has to find ways to win that big game. So I mean, I agree with it. I mean, you don't have anybody in that receiver room that just has any type of fire. And like we've said, I mean, we've said it 20 times a day. Like there's just no separation created. Right? You haven't scared anybody all year with a deep ball. You don't have a single receiver on your roster that's got any defensive back in this league saying, oh man, I might get beat deep. Nah, they're all just sitting at 12 to 13 yards with flat feet, just waiting for the ball to be thrown and trying to break out and make a play.
Eric Madrid, $9.99. Kyler is not the answer, but unfortunately we have him for one more year at least, given his current contract.
Yep, I think that's where they're at. And then you can't make any seismic moves to try to go playoffs there has to be an understanding. And I think there will be with Michael Bidwell, JG, and Ossenfort, where we inherited this guy. We didn't give him his extension. We're doing our best with him. We're trying to improve. We will continue to improve. But Ossenfort and Gannon should not be fired because of Kyler Murray. They should have every opportunity to get their own guy. And if that takes one more year and you're like, okay, we're just going to ride this out, we're going to continue to try to develop, but you can't do that, man.
The 90s Poppy, $2. Embarrassing loss. Kyler needs to go, and 18 is a bust.
There's a lot of that going around today. Let's keep it going, Damon.
Mike Kafka, $20. Thank you so much, my friend. He says, Kyler is still the best player on the team. Prove me wrong.
Trey McBride, Buda Baker probably have something to say about that.
James Conner.
Kyler Murray's the best quarterback on the roster. How about that?
I'll give you that. Yeah.
It's a crazy competition there for best quarterback on the roster. Isaiah Spiro, $199, says, fire Petzing now. Let someone else call the last two games.
I think Drew Petzing is coaching for his job in the last two games. I disagree with my co-host, Bo Brack. I think, listen, the Rams, they're not an offensive team right now. They're a defensive team. They held the Jets to 6 points today. If you go to L.A. and you can't score touchdowns, and then you come home against a bad Niner team and can't score touchdowns, a lot can change between now and the final week of the season.
Rich, $2, says, can't believe we are here.
Well,
can't you, friends? Don't you know with this team?
You don't want to believe it, but I mean, at the same time, it's one of those things where you were going into the bye week, to where we are now. It's like, I can't believe we're here, but I'm not surprised.
One of our diehards, the red-bearded Red, $4.99, says, I genuinely believe the wide receivers do not believe they will get the ball, and that is the reason for their lackadaisical routes. This entire offense falls on Petzing.
I'm not ready to bail on Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm not going to. I've watched this franchise ruin a lot of prospects that then go on and have great careers elsewhere. I saw Marvin early this season look awesome. I think just maybe mentally right now, the season has been draining on him. But I think you got to revitalize Marv with a better passing scheme, among other things. Let's keep it going, Damon.
T. Vato says, Kyler for Dak, poop for poop. Kyler has peaked. Deuces, Kyler.
He might have peaked for sure, but I don't want to trade for poop. I don't want to do a poop trade.
AC Moses, $89, $10, says Kyler's record in September, October, 22-17-1. November, December, January is 13-29. Been a huge Kyler supporter, but I've seen enough. Think it may be best for both parties to see a change in a start fresh in opposite directions.
I mean, those numbers are horrendous. I trust you. Those numbers are correct. Those are so bad. 13-29.
It's not good.
But here's what I'll say: but if they trade him and they have nothing at the position, what do they do? Who are they getting? Who are you? I want to know from this fan base, who are you getting to play quarterback for you next year? I'm not saying that to be, a jerk and tongue in cheek. I honestly want to know what is your plan at that position? If your plan is, if they love a quarterback and they're just going to start him all year, I can get down with that. But you got to be sure about that. You got to be sure that you love a guy, that you can get a guy, that guy can come in and galvanize a locker room, and that you have the infrastructure to support him with somebody like Drew Petzing, barf. Let's keep it going, Damon.
Yeah, Z Warlock 505, $5. Kyler had 3 to 4 drives at the end of the game to win it. And at what point does Ossenfort ask himself if he's getting his money's worth out of Kyler?
I'm sure he's thinking I'm not getting my money's worth.
And it's also to the last one, to your point, like, who are you getting? Like, and if you do think, this is the guy that can do it, what happens if it doesn't work out? And you're sitting in the same boat and you spend
they should get a chance to draft somebody.
There should be somebody that comes in. I agree. You've got to find somebody, whether it's in the draft or in free agency. There's somebody that you have to bring in that can challenge him for that job.
Ethan Dump at 199. If you blame anyone but Kyler or Drew, you're drunk.
I wish I was drunk.
Earlier.
That was awful.
Collie 499 says Kyler didn't lose penalties not getting off the field on third downs went from 4 wins to 7 growth. Compare Gannon's start to Campbell's stop overreacting.
No, the Lions year 2, Collie, started like 1-6 and then finished the year like 9-7. They were the hottest team in the NFL. Everybody could see that arrow pointing up. Goff was fantastic. They went to Green Bay, knocked them out of the playoffs. The Cardinals did the opposite. They started well, 6-4, and they have crashed. They have crashed and burned. There are no comparisons. We wanted to make that comparison mid-year, and there was some viability to that. Kyler and Jared Goff, it's completely different. The growth that you want to praise is on fire. It's literally a dumpster fire right now, where people are questioning whether or not you got the right quarterback, offensive coordinator, wide receiver that you took 4th overall. Where's Darius Robinson? Where the hell are all these draft picks that you took in the top 90? No, it's the Kylie, respectfully, my guy, is the opposite of that. It's not even similar.
David Shepard, 999. Apologies, my mistake earlier. BG wasn't on the team back then, but Christian Kirk was and benefited as a receiver. Appreciate the content you guys and Bo have been providing this year.
There was, you got to think, though, at that point in time, the ball was getting pushed down the field. When you had Christian Kirk here, Christian Kirk was your deep threat, and they were throwing the ball down the field, and they were having success doing it. You don't have that anymore. You don't even have the structure for it.
It's either on Drew, it's on Kyler in his arm, it's on the receivers, their ability to separate.
All the above.
All of the above.
Yeah.
That's why you got to take a sledgehammer to it.
Panda with Wings X, $2 says Sean Murphy Bunting has got to go.
Oh, he's bad.
The free agent class. Think about it today. Sean Murphy Bunting, bust. The 2 defensive tackles you drafted in free agency, huge mega busts. Mac Wilson didn't play today, but he's been good. Evan Brown's been solid. Then you fast forward to the draft. Marvin was a bust today. Darius made no impact. Max Melton was okay. Trey Benson didn't play. Tip Ryman was an overdraft. Elijah Jones hasn't been playing. All these players that your significant resources that you invested this offseason, you're just up there taking whiffs. You need those players to help you win games in December, and you just flip and wet the bed. None of those players are helping you right now. That's not Gannon's fault.
Still early, but looks like a pretty bad offseason from Monty.
It's a D plus C minus offseason for sure.
Given the resources that he had available to him too, like
No
13 picks, whatnot.
It was the offseason to rebuild this team.
Yeah,
And a ton of money.
those rookies. It doesn't look like a great rookie class thus far.
Where are the dogs? Where Max Melton and maybe I think Darius is gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
Marvin, Trey showed something, but how many opportunities he gonna get now that James Conner's under contract? The Tip Ryman pick, that just shows you today. And listen, he's a blocking tight end. He's a nice player. That was an egregiously bad pick. You have no D tackles. You have no pass rush. You've got no speedy receiver. And that was the deepest receiver class the last 10 years. You punted on that for a 3rd tight end. So all the smug muggers that want to come at this show because we said that was an overdraft, yeah, it's cute that he's a 3rd tight end and he can block really well. Did that help you today? No, it didn't. Premium positions, Ossenfort. You had so many picks, you're like, we're going to splurge. No, it was a bad pick. The
crazy part is that he might be like the 4th most productive rookie.
And that just shows you that just shows you his egregious use for it.
Like, who would you say? Max Melton, Darius, probably Marv, and then Rabbit are the only 3 that.
And then Rabbit's only really been in the mix at safety for the
You're
last
gonna need
3 or 4 weeks.
Significant jumps from this group next year.
Definitely.
They're all going to need to be thrust in the lineup and sink or swim.
Greg Hanlon, 199, says we are literally the Jaguars of the West Coast.
I mean, it's what it looks like right now.
I'd love to jack off with the Jacksonville Jaguars right now.
Nation Station Gaming, $4.99. At the end of the day, Marvin is the problem in this duo. His passive play style and lack of run after catch makes him an undesirable target. Such a bummer, man.
But Marv can be a problem, but he's just one player. Why can't Michael Wilson get open? Where was Trey McBride today? If Marvin is sabotaging this entire passing game, then
he's not sabotaging the whole thing, but he's not helping it out by any means necessary.
But who else? But it's the entire passing game. It's
they're
not
all
just
bad.
Marv.
I'm not going to say they're all bad, but we have, like I said, there's just nobody that can create separation. And at the receiver position, if you cannot create separation, you're not going to get the football.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know. You just don't have anybody that can get open.
No.
Keep it going, Michael C. $4.99. BG, as a player, do you need to see your coach light up refs on bad calls?
Oh, I mean, it's not going to do anything. I mean, you can sit there and, MF every referee you want to, but the play, once they call the penalty, it's over with. They can't go back and pick it up. I mean, it's just one of those things. Yeah, I mean, he can yell and scream all he wants to, but it's not going to change the outcome.
Here comes Charlie Sinclair, $4.99. Tough L PHNX fan. Maybe it wasn't a second half cliff collapse after all.
Nope.
It's not looking like it.
It's a Kyler Murray collapse, no doubt. It's a Kyler Murray, and Cliff was involved in it, but
JK Gamer, $2. Why do they always choke? Is it Bidwell's fault?
I think the choking is synonymous with Kyler Murray. The choking really didn't start until Kyler Murray got here. At the end of 2019, at the end of 2020, 2021, and now 2024. Those are Kyler Murray choke jobs. They didn't choke with Bruce Arians.
We got to the playoffs and went to the same place that they went to today.
Well, but here's
2 years in a row.
No, but they lost their quarterback twice. You lost your quarterback.
We had everybody in 15.
Well, you didn't have Tyrann Mathieu.
We didn't have Tyrann Mathieu.
And you were not as good as Carolina. Carolina was a better team. You got to the NFC Championship game.
So
That's
did
not
we.
joking. That's what I'm saying.
It's not that we choked. It's just we didn't show up.
And there's a big difference.
Offensively, that game, I will give you that. We didn't show up offensively in that. In
2015, you guys started
company
2-4. You lost to the Steelers, and then you won out in the rest of the regular season. This year, it's imagine Bruce Arians starting 6-4 and then finishing 7-10. That, Arians wouldn't have done that.
16 and 17, we didn't play great football. We were a 500 team both years
because they stuck with Carson a little too long.
I don't think Carson was the problem. Carson delivered the ball.
I think we're arguing.
No problems on the deep ball. I can promise you that. We threw the deep ball. We completed it.
I think we're arguing two different things. That rendition of the Cardinals ran its course. This rendition of the Cardinals.
That was a different Carolina team too back
Right.
then. Them boys were really, really good at football.
Let's keep going, Damon. How many we got left? We got a good amount left?
27 left.
Oh, my goodness.
Keeping us on our toes today, chat. Appreciate it. I needed some reading practice. So, Iron, $5. I lied about that last super chat. Thanks to BG for your pro input this season. I'm sure all the fans appreciate. Thanks to JV, Bo, Damon, and everyone involved.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, Iron.
That's right.
Josh, $5. Loved spending the time with you guys. I agree there must be a QB competition this offseason with a new OC that will not be one-dimensional.
I agree.
What's Quinn Ewers' stats? You keep reading.
No, listen. I'm a UT fan.
He's trash.
It's not that he's trash, but he's not going to come in here and save your franchise.
He's got a big forehead.
We appreciate you coming out, Josh. And then Josh comes back with another super chat. Says, to everyone that is saying the defense was the problem, we knew this is the defense we would get.
Right.
They have just overachieved this season.
Correct. 100%. Great take.
Again, thank you, Josh, for coming out and supporting us at our Gila River Wild Horse Pass Away watch parties. Mike Kafka, $20. Murray's composite rank since Week 11's bye, 8th, 10th, 13th, 13th, and now 15th.
Free fall.
Let Bob, $5. How many more seasons do we have to suffer through before we can finally admit Kyler is way too small and cannot find receivers?
I think you got one more left in you with maybe a rookie breathing down his neck. If they draft a quarterback, most of this fan base, that's going to be the most popular player on the team next year. How will Kyler Murray, can Kyler Murray handle playing with a rookie next year, behind him?
Does
Kyler Murray have the self-awareness to say, I haven't played well enough, I understand this is a business? Or does he and his guy EB, his agent, make a private or public trade request. It's going to get sticky here in AZ.
That'll tell you everything you need to know. If you bring somebody in like that and there's a trade request put up there, that tells you everything you need to know about who you went with your franchise quarterback.
We'll see.
That just says I'm scared of competition and I'm worried about my job and I don't think I'm good enough to keep it.
Brian Pagatti, $5. This is a team who saw their vacation deposits in danger during the bye and decided Cancun was more important.
Cabo, baby. Cabo, Cancun. Maybe go abroad to Paris. I don't know. That should be the presser questions to everybody this week from Bo Brock. Where are you taking your off-season vacation now that playoffs aren't in
Hey,
store?
are we still on for lunch on Tuesday?
Hey.
That's what Bo Brock's asking.
Jesus. All right, keep it going, David.
Michael C. 499. K1 should be benched and forced to sit and watch Tune run the offense for the rest of this season.
If they do that, then he loses all value, and you're basically saying goodbye. I don't think
I'll quit if they do that.
no.
You can't quit.
Clayton Tune doesn't that's not fair to Clayton Tune. Do not put Clayton Tune out there. They need a viable competitor for Kyler.
David Shepard, 1999. Hold up. We need to re-examine Petzing. I just looked at his resume again, and I don't think he's ever been a coordinator before AZ. He was a QB coach for Cleveland, where Brissett and Watson combined for a touchdown to interception ratio of 19-11.
It's not. Kyler can be bad, Marv can be bad, and Drew can also be bad. Drew's not a good offensive coordinator. He's average at best. Yep.
AZ Moses, 89, $5. Look at Russ and Denver. Both went separate ways, and both are now in much better place.
Could be.
May just be what K1 and AZ need to do.
Could be the issue. You never know. I would say this. There's a history of guys leaving Arizona and going on to prolong and have really great careers. So.
Manuel Ramirez, 199, just sends in a nice little super sticker there.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
See if Manuel had anything else to say. He just said he's ready to move on from Kyler. Honestly hopes we lose the next 2 games so the organization is forced to make some real changes.
I think a lot of Cardinal fans are hoping for losses and bad losses. And I think, listen, I don't know how they beat the Rams next week. They can't throw the ball. And now if James Conner is out, and Jonah Williams is out, and Paris Johnson Jr. is out, how are they going to score points next week? I think there's a real possibility the Cardinals could be shut out on Saturday Night Football.
Charlie Sinclair is back, 499, says Lightning Lad McConkey would have gotten open today, 40 yards away from a 1,000-yard season.
Hey, listen, if that Lad McConkey can create separation, he does it well. He's
sick.
a good – hey, listen, you can be sick all
I
you want to.
I don't want to talk about that.
Lad McConkey's fun to watch.
I don't want to talk about it.
Ryan, 199. JV, do you see any fit for the Cards to draft Scattaboo?
Sure. It depends where Cam's going to the Senior Bowl, so I think that is to show everybody he can play any kind of role people want him to. I think, that would feel like a luxury pick at this point for the Cardinals, but I'm not opposed to it. James Conner's 2-year extension is basically a 1-year extension when you look at the guaranteed money. Trey Benson's a factor. DeMercado will be back, but listen, how high would I take Cam Scattaboo? If you would have asked me before Kyler Murray's collapse, I would have taken him pretty high. But now you're in a position where Cam Scattaboo might just be a luxury the Cardinals can't afford. And we'll have an idea though. Where do you envision Cam Scattaboo going in the draft?
Cam Scattaboo. He's a game changer. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But there's just no.
They got too many other needs.
Yeah. For him coming to Arizona, it would be wild. I just don't think it's
I think he's a
possible.
3rd, 4th round guy.
I think he's a late 2nd, early 3rd round pick, I think, for you. Just, the speed, he's not running away from a lot of people.
Cam Scattaboo would have been perfect for when the Cardinals had about 100 picks in the top 100 this year. Next year, they don't have any extra ones.
But I'll tell you what, he'd be a problem in short yardage. I'll tell you what, he does not shy away from contact one bit. He doesn't
have a neck.
People.
Loves
to punish people.
Running backs that are built like that, they just don't inflict any pain on them. But Johnny, I was going to say, based off of last year with the top 100 picks, clearly they think 3rd round picks are luxuries.
Maybe they will.
Yeah, maybe they will go after a running back like that.
Cam Scattaboo would be a 20,000 times better pick than our guy not Clayton Tune, Tip Ryman.
Even that too.
They tried to run a play. Damon Brittan saw it. They tried to run a play in the flat to him, and he fell down. And then Kyler had to run with it. So
Let Bob $2 says, "I wish JG had 1 ounce of Bruce Arians' fire."
He does behind the scenes, but he's very composed in the presser. And listen, I'm a huge Jonathan Gannon fan. I think they're lucky to have him, and I hate that this is happening, but I think he's the right coach, BG, to get them through this.
I mean, he's going to have another year.
Yeah.
After he's going to get next season, if it goes in the same direction, he's probably gone. As sad as that is, but it's the same thing, right? Players, coaches, what have you done for me lately? If you're not getting the job done, you're not winning games, you're not going to be in that spot very long.
Mike Kafka, $10. A QB rating of 100 plus is generally considered excellent. Kyler's QB rating this year is 97.5.
Yeah, well, it's probably been about it. I mean, a lot of that too. You have to realize a lot of his yards, especially these losses, have been in garbage time.
Yeah, and there's just not. He doesn't throw enough touchdown passes.
No,
you got to score more touchdowns.
David Shepard, been a big supporter of this program today. We appreciate you, David. $9.99. Also, this is for the chat. Stop hating on Kyler. You act like 6 years was under Bill Belichick and freaking Tom Landry. People put Darnold in the dirt, but it's funny what a change in scheme can do.
Well, if that's the thinking, then if you're Jonathan Gannon, you got to get another.
Petzing's got to go.
You got to get another play caller, and then so you could really decipher if I'm going to squeeze this orange or this lemon. That's a bad analogy. To completely dry, and I knew I exhausted all my options, then I'm going to fire Drew Petzing. I'm going to get one of the best passing game coordinators, promote Drew Terrell, whatever you need to do to light this fire. But here's the problem is Sam Darnold could finish seasons. He just wasn't very good. Kyler Murray can't finish seasons. He's getting hurt. He's collapsing. That, say what you want. Call a spade a spade. Plus, Cliff Kingsbury's doing a lot of good with the Commanders right now. I hate to say it with Jaden Daniels. So, but if you're asking me what I would do, if I'm Jonathan Gannon and I know Kyler Murray's going to be my quarterback next year, I would want to completely retool this offense with somebody that puts a premium on the big explosives in the passing game. We've tried to dink and dunk. This is not – you're not beating anybody like this. This is a pop gun 1A high school football offense. Get rid of it.
Milwaukee Braves, $19.99. I'm out on Murray. He was paid this money to win the franchise games when it really matters. When the going gets tough, he bows out and can't deliver on Sundays. Please dump Petzing too. Safe travels back home, Bo.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing. Johnny was just saying, if you're gonna indict it, get a new play caller. You exhaust all your options, and then you can go. If you're gonna move on from K1, you can say, hey, I did everything I could to find a way to get the right play caller in, and it just turned out to be him. So
our friend Iron is back, along with David. He's been a massive supporter of this particular show. $20 from Iron.
Thank you so much.
Says, I lied again. I think K1 plays too much COD off season and got tennis elbow because of it. 100% gaming will do that to a physical job. If someone can convince him to focus on his NFL job full time, we might go to the Super Bowl.
I played a lot of COD, but I don't have any elbow tendonitis. I'm pretty good.
True.
How many left?
I'm not.
We got 14 left.
All right, let's power through these. Rapid fire, my guy.
Ivan Barrera, $5. Hope is a hell of a drug. We've come down with no fix in sight.
It is a hell of a drug, and we will continue to hope because that's all we have.
4C33, $4.99. Drafting the QB who is going to be replaced by Arch is the most Cards thing ever.
It's true. It's so true. We won't draft Quinn Ewers. I won't let that happen.
Neoman 15, $4.99. I've said it once and I'll say it again. Fire Petzing, promote Terrell, and hire Brian Hartline.
I mean, yeah, I don't hate that. Brian Hartline, friend of the show.
I worry that Brian Hartline's a little bit more of a college guy. Like he's going to be a college head coach pretty soon here, and I think that's the route that he chooses to take. But Omnidius, $1.99. Did you guys see the video of McBride saying we sold?
I mean, no,
what does that mean?
It means they blew it. They gave it away.
We choked.
They choked.
Oh, is that
That's
a
the new
kid's,
lingo.
Is that a kid's thing?
I got a 12-year-old.
I'm like, we sold the team? The team got sold?
Ask your son about that. He'll
My
know.
9-year-old, he might know.
We got Robbie Zablena, $4.99. If the Vikings ditch Darnold or San Francisco doesn't want to pay Purdy, would you make the move?
No.
As somebody who's defended K1, he's not the guy.
No, and I
don't know if you can. You're not going to be able, because you still have, and you're going to have to eat so much dead money if you can't trade Kyler. If you try to cut him, that's a chunk, because both of those guys are going to have to get paid.
Does Darnold come with Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison? No, he doesn't. Darnold will underwhelm in his next spot. He should just be friendly.
Listen, Minnesota was a great spot.
They're not going to get rid of him.
The play calling, all that stuff is the right fit for Darnold.
Purdy's
That's why
not
they're
going anywhere.
succeeding.
Darnold's not going. These guys are going to stay with these teams.
They're
Let's
both
keep
gonna
going,
stay.
David.
Dana R, $2. MHJ still running hitch or go all game.
That's about it. Back
Move him
shoulder
around.
throws.
Move him around. Get out of here, Drew, with that trash.
That guy Angelo 187 $5. What was the longest pass play of this game and games before? It felt like they just can't throw the ball. Even when Kyler had time, he threw it away.
Yeah, and Kyler like taking like
When he had time, there was nobody there.
but he's taking like voluntary sacks. That interception he threw, and I don't want to see it anymore. I don't want to see it. I'm done with it.
Cauley comes back 199, says Dan Campbell's record first 3 years 3-13, 9-8, and 12-5. In response to you saying it's different, Johnny.
It's a
Dan,
little-
go look up how they started that year when they were 9-8.
Oh,
They
yeah.
started 1-6.
Yeah, they were.
And they
at the
won
beginning
out.
of the season. They won like 7 straight games.
They were like the hottest team in the NFL, and they couldn't wait to play the next year. The Cardinals literally, Kylie, did
But
you
then
watch
you
the
go to
Cardinals?
13-3, and now you're at where they're in the position they are right now. They're gonna.
The Cardinals are doing this. They're going downhill. They had a 70% chance to make the playoffs, and they wet the bed again. That is not something you're like, oh, part of the process. Checking boxes this offseason. Like, watch the game with your eyes. Kyler Murray is collapsing again. We can't do this every year, my guy. You got to do something different. This is not part of, just the rebuild. Kyler Murray is 27 years old. He's not a rookie. Jared Goff was doing this, man. He was white flipping hot with Amon
still
Ra.
going up.
Yeah. Kyler Murray can't throw touchdowns.
I'll tell you what, as a Dolphins and Cardinals fan, I've watched a lot of bad late season football and
Yeah.
collapses in my life.
Yeah.
And there's a huge difference between running the table on the second half of your season and just completely collapsing.
You don't say.
I
I
mean-
would kill for 1-6, followed by 9-8 to end the year.
Nine-
Over this torture show?
9 wins does not always equal 9 wins.
No,
was the point.
no chance.
Mike Kafka, $5, says hire Marvin Harrison Sr. as the wide receiver coach.
Good, yes.
Problem solved.
I'd be okay with
Let's
that.
do it. Get his ass in the building and just have him mean mug everybody until this offense gets it going.
Omnidius, 199. To be fair, the defense allowed 36
They
points.
did.
They were bad today.
They were not good today.
They were really bad, but they have bad players. The offense supposedly has good players.
Isaiah Spiro, 199. Draft Kyle McCord. Then the chemistry will work.
Oh my God. I hate that this is like I get that's tongue in cheek. I hate everything about that. I hate our lives right now, but I appreciate the subtlety there. I appreciate that.
Draft Kyle McCord is like the death sentence on this season.
I like if they drafted Kyle McCord and I'm sitting in my draft seat, it's just I will wither away.
but
be
that
like-
super chat coming in, like that's how you know it's well and truly over.
Oh, yeah. We're done.
I need that in my life, Isaiah. I appreciate that.
Josh is back, $5. Milroe, Dart, Klubnik, and Leonard should all be looked at during the offseason. Just real quick, I mean, I'll say I like Jalen Milroe.
I wouldn't hate Klubnik.
Jackson Dart is all right. I think Caleb Klubnik comes
I wouldn't
back
hate that.
to Clemson next year, so I don't know if he'll be in this draft. And I think Riley Leonard stay as far away from that as humanly possible. He'll be a terrible NFL quarterback, in my opinion.
I think I'm in on Jalen Milroe.
I like it.
I think I'm in.
But you got to have a deep shot offense.
I think I'm in.
Like you said, you got to fire Drew Petzing, I think, if you want.
Do
if you
not
want
let
Jalen
Drew
Milroe.
Petzing anywhere near a rookie quarterback. I will. That is a borderline of fireable offense. JG, do not
Try to
don't let him do it.
turn Jalen Milroe into Jacoby Brissett.
Hey, Jalen Milroe, keep everything in front of you. Throw it right at the line of scrimmage. Please no. Jalen Milroe, pick 16. I'm warming up to it.
Mac Daddy 714-499. He says Sam Levitt 2026.
No, everybody will be fired because they'll be. Sam Levitt is like a top 10 pick. Sam Levitt's on pace. He's going to be a top 10 pick one day. He's a stud.
People like Carson Beck. A couple people in the chat. I don't know how you feel about that. Iron $5. I
Dear
lied
God.
for the last time this week. If everyone wishes to fire Drew, then you have to fire the wide receiver coach as well. No separation is that guy's fault.
I would fire everybody on offense unless they believe Drew Terrell is the guy. I always heard that Drew Terrell was going to be the heir apparent if, good Lord, this seems absurd now, but Drew Petzing got a head coaching job. But, I mean, if you fire Drew Petzing and you want to fire everybody else, go ahead. I don't have a problem with that.
PR Mac $2. What we learned offense overachieved or overrated.
Oh yeah, they were rated really high and set to be really good this year, and completely underperformed.
It was like the equivalent of that new Christmas movie with The Rock. You can put all the stars in that movie that you want. It still sucks immediately and goes straight to streaming. Didn't make any money. That's the Cardinals offense.
Last super chat here from AZ Moses 89, $5 says Trey McBride after the game in footage on X. Man, we sold so effing bad. We're sorry as F.
Well, I mean, I see no eyes.
If Trey McBride says that, it must be true.
Sweet Trey.
We're working our way up to 1,000 likes here on a post-game show around the room here as we put a bow on the Cardinals' playoff aspirations here in 2024 and look ahead to 2025. Brittan Golden, do you believe that this was the nail in the coffin for Kyler Murray as the definitive franchise quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals?
Well, like I said earlier, he's going to get an opportunity to start next season. He's definitely put it in the minds of, it's definitely the fan base and probably guys upstairs in that building. I think if he doesn't come out early next season and show that he can be that guy and show the arm strength and to throw it downfield and to win the big games, I think that's going to be it for him.
Yeah, I mean, you can be critical of the passing game, which I have, and the offensive coordinator, and the easiest person to move off of will be Drew Petzing, and who knows, maybe they make that move if they get embarrassed the next 2 weeks, but I think the clock has officially started on Kyler Murray's time here as the franchise quarterback, and it's happened a complete fall from grace. Nothing that any of us could have seen coming. I mean, you can be a K1 hater, and we've been K1 supporters and defenders, and I continue to defend him as a person, but you're 6-4, and then you collapse down the stretch, 1-4 post-bye, potentially en route to 1-7 or 1-6 post-bye. I mean, you can't hide from those numbers. You can't hide from the numbers of Kyler Murray in the months of December and January. Somebody mentioned earlier in the show, 13-29 after October. I mean, it's just indefensible. And as much as Jonathan Gannon, I know, loves Kyler Murray, and Monti Ossenfort has belief he can be the guy, if you're smart, you have to have a contingency plan. You have to be able to go to Michael Bidwell and say, like, yeah, Kyler Murray's our guy in 2025. We're going to pay him accordingly. But we also have our sights set on every quarterback in the Senior Bowl, every quarterback in the draft. We're going to start and comb. We're going to move heaven and earth to find the next guy. I do not think the Cardinals unequivocally will be in on a Sam Darnold or any of these free agent quarterbacks because I just don't believe that, number one, those guys are going to be available. Number two, you could afford them with Kyler Murray's contract. And number three, like the guys who are going to be available, it's going to be like the Jameses of the world, right? Guys that are not a clear-cut upgrade, that have flaws. That's what free agency is. Kirk Cousins is going to be available. We don't even think he can play anymore. So at the end of the day, it's like Monti Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon have continued to reshape this roster, have made some improvements this year, but we're on a collision course for a disastrous finish. They should have the right, whether it's in 2025, 2026, to draft their future franchise quarterback. I don't think you can sit here and say what we all hoped, that Kyler Murray was going to play out his contract, that Kyler Murray was going to be the definitive answer. I think those games are done. Those seasons are done. You are year to year with Kyler Murray. You are back, Damon and Brittan, to dating Kyler Murray. And when you find an upgrade and you find your heir apparent and you can reset that rookie wage scale, I think you have to do that. And so the aspirations of trading for a Micah Parsons or a Myles Garrett because you're going all in, Kyler Murray and his play does not warrant that in 2025. It just doesn't.
No, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. This is a year-to-year basis now, and he's got to come out next season and prove that he can be the guy, or I think you move on.
We got an unbelievable super chat. Mike Kafka, $100. Unbelievable. Thank you so much. You read all 5 of my supers. 4 were lame. Merry Christmas. Well, they were not lame. You guys are not lame. We appreciate everybody. We are over 2 hours, consistently over 1,000 viewers watching live, and we will hold this team accountable, this coach, this coordinator, this quarterback, this receiver, because our coverage does not stop. It's been a tough week for All City, our All City family here at PHNX Sports. Specifically our PHNX Cardinals beat reporter Craig Morgan, but I know he appreciates all of you, how you ingratiated him here into this beat, into this fan base. We are not going anywhere. Our coverage continues here. More from Brack as he makes his way back from Bank of America Stadium. Of course, we've got Monday show tomorrow. We're going to hear from Mina Kimes. We're going to hear from Brian Baldinger. Hoping to have a chance to talk to Michael Wilson. And we'll see if the Cardinals can at least put on a good performance for their fan base. Give them something to cheer about a week from yesterday, upcoming on primetime NFL Network. Cardinals at Rams. Arizona Cardinals have been eliminated from playoff contention, but we're not going anywhere. Like this video. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Big thanks to everybody who came out. Gila River Resorts and Casinos, Wild Horse Pass, For Damon, Bo, and Brittan, I'm Johnny Venerable. We'll see you on Monday.
We all silly like the mayor.